The story begins in the palace of the imperial family, where a little pink-haired girl tells the bride how beautiful she is. She also thought that she looked irresistible today. However, she still accepted compliments with uncertainty. The little girl was sure that her older brother would faint when he saw the bride. So she asked if the bride had met Lucian. She replied that the bride and groom were forbidden to see each other before the wedding. The young bride's name was Adelia. She timidly admitted that she was very worried, and even more than I expected. The little girl hastened to reassure her future relative and assured her, "Today, Adelia will shine brighter than anyone else. Everyone will envy her. And if something goes wrong, it will only benefit her." Adelia thanked the girl from the bottom of her heart. She found the little girl incredibly cute. Pink hair looks like soft cotton candy, eyes sparkle red like rubies, and the cheeks are soft like fluffy marshmallows. "I just want a bite," thought the future princess. Adelia still couldn't believe that she and Princess Ariana would soon become a family. It all seems like just a dream. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door, and the servant announced that it was finally time for her to leave. People whispered as the bride walked past them. The women kept repeating that the girl was incredibly beautiful. The men watched gloomily, and the future princess and her husband walked arm in arm along the red carpet to the altar. Lucian's older and younger brothers watched them just as emotionlessly. When the two stopped in front of the priest, the elderly man said that the sacred wedding ceremony under God's protection was beginning. Adelia, to tell the truth, did not at all expect that she would become crown princess so soon. She also noticed that her future husband was very handsome, although this was not surprising if we were talking about this imperial family. While the priest asked the cherished question about her consent to a legal marriage with this man, Adelia was in her thoughts that she was now in a garden full of beautiful flower boys, a treat for the eyes. That is why her future husband had to ask his bride to answer, in the end, to the priest. Then the priest asked if she vowed to change her surname and take Lucian Callum de Crack as her lawful husband. She answered in agreement. She was no longer Adelia Vita. She is now Adelia Rebecca D. Crack. They had to sprinkle a drop of blood on this contract in order to finally become legal husband and wife. However, as soon as Adelia touched the paper with her injured finger, another name flashed there. She immediately realized, what if she had been discovered? But she immediately hurried to focus on the wedding, because the name immediately disappeared and she was sure that no one noticed. The priest read the speech. He names Adelia Rebecca D. Crack and Lucerne Cullen D. Crack husband and wife, blessed by the Lord himself. In 2023, in South Korea, 28-year-old Kim Bada sat late in the office working on work. She worked as a developer in a small company. When suddenly blood flowed from her nose, she collapsed due to exhaustion, and when I opened my eyes, she suddenly woke up in the body of Adelia Vita, a minor character in her favorite novel, The Princess Preparation Diaries, who was destined to die. Adelia in the novella died of cardiac arrest and was a character without a single line of dialogue. Not only is she the one who is destined to die, she is also a heroine with zero importance to the story. Kim Bada couldn't believe it. Wasn't The Princess Preparation Diaries supposed to be a happy story? About a princess who is loved by her family? Of all the characters, why was she lucky enough to be reborn as this one? It looks like she will die as soon as she was reborn. Kim refused to face another miserable death. She had no time to mope. Even though the girl didn't know exactly how this was happening, she needed to write down the story before she forgot everything. Dekrak Empire, divine power, evil genius. In the original story, the villain had incredible power, the greatest in the whole world, white magic. Kim thought that she would really like to use it. She wanted to live, at least once it's normal, for your own happiness, albeit in someone else's body. The girl was sure that she would find white magic for herself. But in order to survive, she had to do it before the main villain of the story. And eventually she reached the place described in the novel. Kim remembered exactly the location of the object she needed. So in the night, throwing on a black robe, she headed to the very end of the treasured cave. She was going to find an ability that would combine the greatest power of light and the source of all power on Earth. Suddenly, a luminous door appeared in front of her. The girl recoiled and got scared. An unknown, invisible, and powerful voice asked who she was. The girl obediently pronounced her newfound name, Adelia Vita. The voice thoughtfully replied that it seemed like there was something else about her. Kim had previously assumed that this would happen. The guardian of light, as she thought, is able to see the true essence of a person. Glowing yellow eyes flashed in the darkness when the girl said her real name and said that her original name was exactly that, Kim Bada. She is already prepared for everything. She has nothing to fear. When the voice of the guardian of light was surprised and suggested that since the girl has two names, then she is blessed by God himself. To which Kim replied that he would probably be able to understand everything as soon as he saw her in person. The guard was glad that an interesting person had come to him. Then he allowed the girl to enter. She was immediately struck by what was discovered in the cave: gold, crystals, and ingots. Everything was scattered around in mountains. She, thinking that no one could hear her, asked out loud how much money was kept here. A voice approaching from somewhere on the side mocked her. She was more interested in all these coins than in the divine sword or in himself. A huge white wolf with a glowing yellow aura towered over her. His eyes were red and his appearance was terrifying. Kim awkwardly laughed it off, saying, well, what else did he expect from a person? The wolf began to approach, saying that a lot of time had passed since he last saw a man. He is a being known as the Guardian of Light. After the Guardian asked why she came, the girl awkwardly said that he himself knew everything. In fact, no one gets to choose their parents. Her father beat Kim Badu because her mother died at her birth, and the girl did not bring any benefit to the family. Every day for the girl was a living hell, but the princess's training diaries were the only ray of hope that did not let her give up. The main character had a wonderful life. Everyone loved her. And Kim held on to the hope that one day she could live like this princess. And when she miraculously woke up in the body of the heroine of her favorite novel, she thought, God has finally given her a chance. She believed that she could live at least once a normal life, surrounded by a loving family. The belief that she could fulfill her dream became greater every day. At least until she found out that the owner of this body lived the same terrible life as Kim Bada. Adelia lost her mother, Countess Vita, at a young age, and after the Count brought home his mistress and her children, Adelia became a minor character, abused by her family. Her birth father allowed her half-sisters to play with the girl, but only without leaving marks, since with bruises the girl could not be sold. A life full of abuse ended in a miserable death. Such was the fate of Adelia Vita. However, if she can obtain white magic, she will be able to live a happy life even in such a body. However, the guardian only cut off a short no. He believed that in her current physical condition, there was no way the girl would be able to accept white magic. Therefore, he ordered the girl not to waste his time and leave. Adelia was embittered. She still had never been given a chance. She didn't even try, and she should have given up already. She looked at the guard with an evil grin, who only made fun of her grief, calling the girl a stupid little man. He believed that Adelia should abandon this idea, otherwise she would die from the side effects. Then suddenly the girl said coldly, "Hey, dog." The guard was indignant. How dare she address him like that? She still has nothing to lose. The girl continued by saying that he has no manners at all, probably because he is an animal. The wolf's aura burst into flames and he bared his mouth. How dare a man, a creature of the lowest order, treat him like that? However, Adelia knew for sure that the Guardian could not attack a person. Any fan of the novel knew this simple fact. The Guardian of Light is an immortal being who protects the power of white magic. From the very beginning, it was created taking into account that it could not harm people. The guard could not believe that the man who entered here for the first time in 300 years turned out to be such an arrogant fool. He muffledly barked that she probably needed white magic for the same stupid reasons. Then Adelia said that she must die soon, and to avoid this fate, she doesn't even have any special power. She simply has nothing. Therefore, she plans to extend her lifespan with the help of white magic, and perhaps also take revenge on a few more people along the way. Over the years, several people have visited the Guardian. Everyone wanted to own white magic for different reasons. Someone wanted to unite the whole world. Someone simply wanted to become a god and rule everything. Someone intended to build a new empire, since the current one was deeply corrupt. The Guardian admitted that Adelia's reasons seemed to him the most realistic and honest of all those he had ever heard. Then the girl admitted that she was also going to achieve such authority that would allow her to get rid of all looks down on her, so that she could live as she pleases. When the guardian asked if she wanted to win the throne, the girl objected. She really intends to become part of the imperial family, but this is not at all the authority she wants to achieve. She talked about how everyone respects money equally. Adelia was no longer going to let other people treat her like an object or be miserably used. Now she will begin to live happily and do what she herself would like. The guard admitted that he liked the girl's ambitions, but, in this case, what was she going to offer him in exchange for white magic? The girl's train of thought was simple. The guard had been imprisoned in a cave for many years protecting white magic. That is why he is probably interested in the outside world. Therefore, she promised to let him see her own memories, which no one in the whole world could do. The guard reminded that all the gold, crystals, and money stored in this cave were gifts for white magic. And she offers him only memories, and not to take possession of them, but just to look. The girl promised that her memories could entertain him much more than any other person. She used her name in a past life, so she could guarantee that the guardian had never seen anything like it. That's why she was only going to show it, and not give it away. Strahd reasoned that if there was really something worthwhile there, then the deal was quite fair. But how could he trust her? Then the girl began to bluff, saying that she was going to show him everything personally, since he was a guardian of light and all that. These are priceless memories and all that. The guard was interested in the fact that only he and the word priceless could see these memories. He told the girl that white magic has the power of purification, and the girl will be able to use it, like ordinary magic, especially for treatment and protection. However, the side effects, the girl asked if they could kill her right away, to which the guardian replied that it's unlikely that everything is that bad. Announcing that he considered her a truly strange person, the guardian leaned his forehead against the top of Adelia's head, sealing the deal. The white magic felt warm. Adelia became a dark mage after all. It was a temporary solution for her weak body. As long as she has this power, no poison or physical attack can harm her. Cruel people will no longer be able to bully her. The guard was surprised. In the girl's memories, there were indeed things that he had not heard or seen before. They exceeded his expectations. This was enough to keep him entertained for the next 500 years. But the memories of her past life? The guardian believed that she was just an arrogant person, but her past was difficult. Their contract will come into force immediately after the girl gives him a name. Kim didn't remember this in the original novella. The guard explained this by saying that, for now, the girl was unstable, and he will give her special treatment, recognizing her as his mistress. She will be able to call upon him whenever she wishes, and the guardian will help in times of danger. Adelia decided that this wasn't such a bad deal. When the contract comes into force, they will be bound. The girl suggested the name Kai, which means ocean in the divine language. As soon as Kai recognized her as his owner, the girl's eyes lit up and she began to beg for a few coins from the vault. After Adelia had raked in a bunch of coins, she came to her senses and asked about the side effects Kai was talking about. Making sure that she would not die from some strange disease, the girl was delighted. And she said that she had a lot of things to start. Kai asked where they were going, and she said that they were going to earn her money. 3 years have passed since then, and an auction was held in the palace. What was being sold was the rarest item ever shown at this auction. White magic stone, the first one found in the last 300 years. People immediately began bidding. 100 gold, 200, 300. It reached 500 when a VIP visitor offered 5,000 gold. The man did not expect that the white magic stone would be put up for sale. There were 2 explanations for this. The head knows the white magician, or the head is the white magician. The special visitor turned out to be Lucian's older brother. He ordered his brother to find and deliver the head of Alan to him. All that remains is to find out who this head is. The Elin Trading Company appeared in the Empire 3 years ago out of nowhere. Thanks to their rare items, unique advertising, and talented deputy head, they are considered the strongest company in the Empire. But the only thing that is known about their leader is her name, Marie. Some say that the deputy head is actually the real owner. The deputy, having learned about this opinion of the people, became furious. How dare they compare someone like him and their great head? While the man was indignant at the fact that he was nothing more than her slave, Adelia entered the room. When the green-haired assistant told her that journalists could not distinguish stupid rumors from the truth, Adelia told him not to burden himself with this. The best option is to simply ignore it. He immediately rushed to the girl and lifted her into the air, shouting about how much he missed her. Adelia began to protest because she gets dizzy every time. Lowering the head to the ground, he began to sing songs about how he could not greet his mistress in this way, if just looking at her brings him a lot of joy. Later, the man finally moved on to the report on the auction. The emperor, as Adelia wanted, won the bid for the white magic stone. He also ordered the crown prince to catch her. Rumors also appeared that the head of Ellen is a white magician. After being asked where this stone came from, Adelia admitted that she made it herself. The assistant immediately exploded with indignation. How could she, after so many years of cooperation, hide from him the fact that she was really a white magician? Adelia explained that from the very beginning, she planned everything so that in the end the stone would end up in the hands of the emperor. She ordered me to stop making a fuss and go make an appointment at a dress store for her. She needed to get to the imperial ball. The purpose of the upcoming ball is to choose the future crown princess, so she suggested that only high-ranking nobles could attend. She was the daughter of a count. When the assistant found out that her real name was Adelia Vita, he immediately compared the facts and realized that her last name was the last name of the family to whom they regularly send money. The family has so much debt that they won't be able to pay it off even if they pool all their assets. And he always wondered why the lady didn't put pressure on them about returning the money. Then the assistant promised that he would ask one last question and leave. The reason why she offered the white magic stone to the emperor and plans to attend the imperial ball is because Adelia admitted that his train of thought was correct. She's going to become crown princess. The green-haired man previously believed that nothing could surprise him anymore. She's a noblewoman. She already has a life that can only be envied. However, nobles cannot live freely. Noblewomen are used to marry off or to spend their whole lives subordinate to the head of the house. Adelia did not want a similar fate for herself. Therefore, she decided to become the crown princess, receive her personal title, and become the head of her own house. The assistant grasped her plan of action. Even if she divorced, she would still receive a noble title and be revered as a past member of the imperial family. She could easily put down Count Vit and gain recognition for her abilities to become the head of the house. Unfortunately, it will be quite difficult to gain recognition as the head of Elin. But if she becomes crown princess, she will be able to destroy Vita's house without any effort. And more importantly, she will be able to meet Princess Ariana. If she was reborn in the novel, then why can't she see her favorite character? She plans to make a deal with the crown prince. The girl is sure that he will definitely agree if she offers trading rights to white magic stones. They have to deal with a huge amount of bureaucratic red tape to export white magic stones, but the imperial family can easily bypass this. And she is confident that the offer will be accepted with open arms. The assistant admired her. The girl was much younger than him, but she was able to think through everything down to such small details. Colin, in fact, was even scared to imagine how big her campaign would grow. At the same time, in the palace, Lucian was dealing with his subjects. He ordered them to drop everything else and focus solely on finding the head of Eileen. However, his servants not only did not capture them, but also did not receive any information. In fact, his employees caught the deputy head near the auction house, but he disappeared in the blink of an eye. They assumed that he had escaped again using the artifact. He used all kinds of magical artifacts and kept a white magician with him. It is clear that every time he was able to slip right out of the hands of the army. The last white magician was the first Emperor Dekra, who led the continent to prosperity. Now, 300 years later, another has appeared. It can significantly affect the entire empire. They must find him before anyone else does. And in order for him to be attached to them, they would probably have to give him the position of imperial magician. Meanwhile, rumors that Chief Ellen is a white magician have spread throughout the continent. This concerned not only the inhabitants of Dekra, other empires also began searching. They really had to find the magician before he fell into the wrong hands. Whether they gain trust or have to threaten it, they have to gain it. Even if they suddenly make a mistake and they have to kill him. It would be much easier if the new white magician turned out to be corrupt, like the rest of the nobles. His conscientiousness complicates everything. Lubelia Vita, the second daughter of Count Vita, twirled in her dress in front of her father. He said that their daughter was incredibly beautiful because she took after his precious wife. When Adelia showed signs of her presence, everyone suddenly grimaced. Lubelia even asked why this thing had to go with them. The father of the family said that this time she looks healthier than last time. Therefore, you will probably be able to get more money for it. Kim was thinking, probably now in the novella is the time when Adelia was sold to some old count. She should have put up with this bullying a little longer. There was nothing attractive about her father's excessive attention right now. Suddenly, someone grabbed her hand and pulled her back sharply. When the girl ordered him to let go of her hand, he only complained that they had not seen each other for ages and asked her not to be so fierce. He also noticed that the girl looked good. Does she seem to live comfortably and eat well? This was David Vita, the eldest son of Count Vita, a disgusting rapist as far as Adelia knew. When she remembered how many girls he had used, relying on the family name, she wanted to immediately throw her brother in prison. But such a bastard deserves much more punishment. She promised herself that she would lower her family into the depths of hell with her own hands. Sometime after this, His Majesty the Emperor and the Crown Prince entered the huge hall of the royal palace. In the original novella, only the Emperor and the Crown Prince attended the ball. The Crown Prince pointed out all the shameful stories of the families of the ladies who attended the ball, making it clear that obtaining the title of Crown Princess is not so easy. Adelia thought that it was not at all surprising that the prince had acquired a reputation as a tyrant, given this situation. Deciding to take action, Adelia activated her white magic abilities. Was this enough for the prince to notice her? Normal people under the influence of white magic simply became a little more cheerful, but anyone who has already encountered it will quickly recognize its presence. They absolutely won't miss Adelia. The emperor, as expected, immediately noticed. He didn't think that the white magician would appear in person. It was problematic in a way. The crown prince even doubted that this girl was a fake. However, the emperor immediately rejected this assumption. No fake could emit such energy. His Majesty was more concerned that the girl was very young and openly showed herself. Adelia was thinking that she had previously expected that the two representatives of the imperial family would be hostile towards her, but the eyes of both were so burning that it seemed that they would tear her to shreds. Should she worry about her own life today? Of course, they are unlikely to succeed, and if they try, they can always escape. Suddenly, muttering something about unprecedented impudence, the crown prince rose from his seat. He crossed the hall, heading straight towards Adelia, and after he got to the girl, with the sternest expression on his face, he asked if she would give him her first dance. Adelia, without giving away her cover for a second, politely agreed, because this is an honor for anyone. People immediately began to whisper, "Who is this girl to the crown prince that he independently invited her to dance? Which family does she belong to?" Many had never seen Adelia before. As she danced, Adelia sang songs about what a great honor it was and how long she had wanted this moment. It even got to the point where she said that her heart was beating so fast, as if it was about to jump out of her chest. When Lucian said that this was all nonsense, she even faked indignation and said that he was very upset with her. Suddenly, the girl's palm began to emit white magic. The man was indignant, saying that she allowed herself when his body became impossibly light. Adelia asked if he felt the same tiredness after this. But as soon as the man asked what it all meant, she switched the topic to how much effort she put into her hair today. Lucian noted that he had seen something similar at an auction a few days ago. Adelia admitted that he was right, and it was all about those white magic stones. And she also emphasized that she made them all herself. Lucian thought that if this was true, then this woman really was a white magician. He couldn't believe it. She was so small and fragile. He might break it if he squeezes too hard. Adelia immediately said that it would not break even if he squeezed so hard. Suddenly, immediately after asking whether the man was trying to show his strength in this way, Lucian sharply pulled her towards him. Within a few moments, he bent the girl over the floor, asking the only question, "What does she want?" Adelia offered to take her to a more secluded and private place so that she could speak. Lucian objected. In what tone does she even ask for a private meeting with the crown prince? Adelia explained, "There are so many people around them, it would be quite stupid to show all her powers here." The man noticed that she had no feeling of fear at all. but she just wants to offer a magical deal, so why should she be afraid? The emperor watched them from afar. Lucian openly shows emotions. He still has a lot to learn as a crown prince. At the same time, the girl, unknown to him so far, looks younger than Lucian, but behaves much more restrained, completely natural. The man found this situation very interesting as he watched from his throne. Adelia felt like the emperor would burn a hole in her back, considering how long he was looking at her. Perhaps she really shouldn't provoke Lucian. It looks like he might actually try to kill her. The crown prince continued to stand his ground. If a girl wants to talk privately, she must reveal her purpose. Adelia resisted. There was no way she could say this here. Even if she leans closer, everything will be revealed if someone can read her lips. The song was already coming to an end. Adelia must convince the prince before the musicians stopped playing. She insisted that this deal would not be a setback for the prince. Then Lucian promised something of his own. If the girl allowed herself to do something beyond what was permitted, her head would immediately fly off her shoulders. The song ended and Adelia bowed, expressing regret that it was so short. Lucian supported her and asked for some of her precious time. He invited the girl into the living room. Adelia accepted the offer, saying that it was an honor for her, after which the crown prince escorted the girl into the living room. Then His Majesty the Emperor said that it also made no sense for him to stay at the reception, since the main figure of the celebration had left. Lobelia was furious when she learned of what had happened, and she began to furiously yell at her father, demanding an explanation of what all this meant. Why did Adelia dance with the crown prince, and why did she go into the living room with him? Her mother also joined in and demanded to know about this girl's plans. Count Vita thought to himself. He had previously believed that the most useful thing he could get from Adelia's fatherhood was to sell her to Count Carlos. He never expected that the girl would be able to gain the attention of the prince. He thought she was just a naive girl, but she was able to show herself to be very useful. Now, if everything goes well, it will be possible to establish contact with the imperial family. And it doesn't matter. Even if Adelia dies, he will still continue to receive money. This is a very advantageous position. But still, Adelia is unlikely to become a simple concubine. When his annoying daughter continued to yell and try to cause trouble, he ordered her to shut up, arguing that she had completely failed to gain the crown prince's attention and could not complain now. After all, if his eldest daughter seduced the crown prince, they would still benefit greatly from it. And, as Lobelia's older sister, she of course will find the girl a worthy husband. Then he suggested that his daughter try to steal Adelia's place next to the crown prince. After all, she is much younger and healthier than that unremarkable thing. Perhaps the crown prince will decide to take Lobelia as his wife after Adelia. He is a man, and according to Count Vita, he will still want someone younger and fresher. Then Lobelia's mother spoke up for the first time, asking a painfully obvious question. Would their daughter really become the crown princess? Count Vita, of course, simply diverted their attention and blatantly lied, but still answered positively. It will, because Lobelia is better in many ways. As Adelia made her way to the living room, following Crown Prince Lucian, she thought that convincing him was much easier than she thought. However, letting down your guard would still be the wrong decision. What if he changes his mind and decides to kill her? Still, when it comes to the imperial family, anyone they deem useless is immediately killed mercilessly. She was thinking that everyone in this family, except Princess Ariana, was ruthless when the prince announced that they were there. Entering the room, they both appeared before the emperor, who watched them intently while sitting in a chair. Adelia bowed and said that it was a great honor for her, but she was not allowed to finish. The emperor said that he did not need feigned greetings, so he asked them to just sit down. Then the girl sat down on the couch opposite the emperor, and Lucian took his place next to his brother. And then Adelia introduced herself as the eldest daughter of Count Vita. And then she added that she is also the owner of a small company, Elin. The emperor confirmed his guess that the head of Elin is a white magician. And then he asked, since she calls her company small, then she probably considers the rest of the empire's companies to be nothing more than just street vendors? Adelia noticed that most people call this modesty. The emperor objected, saying that he personally considered this more like hypocrisy. Then Lucian demanded proof that she was indeed a white magician. Adelia thought that she had already shown him enough during the dance, but since this is not enough. The girl summoned a scroll using her magic. And when it was unwrapped in Lucien's hands, he confirmed that it was the same thing that he found in the reports about Lin. Adelia asked if she should show them more or if that was enough. Her question was not answered, but instead another one was asked. She had been hiding for 3 years, so why did she decide to reveal herself now? Lucien ordered her to say what she wanted. Then Adelia kindly asked to marry her. Lucien was indignant. How dare she so frivolously desire the title of crown princess? This was already disrespectful towards the imperial family. Adelia explained that it was only for 2 years. All she wanted was a deal, the power of the crown princess and the support of the imperial family. After 2 years of marriage, according to her plan, they will divorce and the family will give her a noble title with a small estate. The emperor asked if she realized that, having received the title of nobility, she must remain loyal to the imperial family for the rest of her life. Of course she was aware. Her business is located on the territory of the empire. Where else would she go? Then they moved on to the terms for the emperor and his family themselves. Adelia wanted to give them the opportunity to monopolize the white stones. And then she asked if the sacred sword would be enough as a dowry. The emperor noticed that she spoke as if she already wielded a sword. Adelia only knew where it was, but she did not know how to take possession of it. But that doesn't mean she can't sell it. He's useless to Adelia. Lucien noted that it would be wise for the weapon to belong to someone who would benefit from it. The holy sword is a legendary item. The emperor still saw something was wrong here. He noted that to obtain a noble title, it was not necessary to marry someone from the imperial family. Why is she offering both the white magic stones and the sacred sword to become the crown princess? Adelia admitted that her goal is to gain independence from her current family. Marriage to a member of the imperial family is the easiest way she could find to make things happen without any judgment. Lucien believed that this deal was too good for them if independence was all Adelia wanted. He can't even call it a full deal. Is she telling the truth? Or is he planning to do something? Then Adelia continued. She did not care whether Lucien had another woman or mistress, as long as it did not harm her position. For her, the authority of the crown princess is important, not his heart. However, she would still like them to appear in public as a loving couple. Because the crown princess cannot do anything herself without being the crown prince's chosen one. The emperor again insisted that such conditions were too good for them if independence was all she wanted. Why would she go so far for power? Then Adelia admitted that she wanted to humiliate Vita's house and completely destroy this name. This was her real reason. Lucien was indignant because this is her family. However, the emperor ordered his brother to listen. Adelia admitted that her family brought a lot of suffering into her life. That's why she wants to take revenge on them personally. After all, the only person who can protect Adelia is herself. Lucien thought that by agreeing, he would not lose anything, because marriage was not in his plans anyway. Adelia was thinking, Lucien was taking too long to answer. Did she mention the white magic stones and the sacred sword too early? She also doubted that the crown prince understood her situation. If Lucien turned her down now, the whole plan would go down the drain. However, there is still no choice, so you have to show him the ace in your hole. Then Adelia stood up and said that in order to explain the whole situation to them, she should show her something, after which she moved the belt of her dress. The emperor and his brother, the crown prince, were indignant. How could a noblewoman do such a thing? However, when Adelia exposed her back, completely covered with scars, they fell silent. Then the girl said that these scars were left by people who call themselves her family. The longest one was left by her stepmother when Adelia was 7 years old. At the age of 11, her younger sister left a burn under the scar, out of pure interest. After this, the emperor asked what she was trying to achieve with this demonstration. Wants to arouse pity? But Adelia explained that she felt like they doubted her intentions because of what she offered in return. Adelia said that marriage would not put her in a difficult position, but their new whim was very unexpected and difficult to fulfill. She just shows them how much she wants to achieve her goal. She wants to make the lives of these people hell on earth. Adelia continued to talk about how her family would suffer 2 or even 3 times more than she did when they abused her. If she can. However, Lucien did not let her finish, cutting her off with a short, "That's enough." She proved her words so she can stop. Adelia was amazed. Did the crown prince really take pity on her? Or did she remind him of Princess Ariana? He was very kind to her in the original plot of the novel. Then the prince began to communicate with the emperor, discussing the situation. If Adelia signs the contract, he sees no reason to refuse. And after these words, he asked what His Highness thought. The emperor only briefly advised his younger brother to do as he himself believed. When the crown prince seemed to have made up his mind and said that they had already discussed all the terms of the contract, Adelia interrupted him, about to say something else. She asked to be allowed to settle in the palace as soon as possible. Lucian quickly agreed and promised to send the carriage with the knight to Vitus's estate tomorrow, and he asked me to prepare everything I needed. For now, Adelia will live in the guest quarters. And tomorrow they certify the contract legally and magically. It is best to legalize the transaction immediately to avoid problems in the future. Adelia agreed with everything, although she was upset that the crown prince still did not trust her. One careless step and her whole plan will fail. She bowed and promised that she would look forward to their wedding, with one thought: she must not let her guard down. The next day, her sister burst into Adelia's room, screaming about tricks and yesterday. Adelia briefly and calmly asked who taught her to break into other people's rooms without knocking in the morning. Lobelia pushed her sister in the chest and ordered her to immediately answer her what Adelia had done and why the crown prince invited her to a personal meeting. Adelia thought her sister was terribly annoying. That's why she wants to get out of this house as soon as possible. Can't Lobelia be silent for at least a day? Lobelia made a fuss again, thinking that her sister was ignoring her. Then Adelia, again in a calm tone, ordered the girl to stop yelling and get out of her room. Lobelia was furious. How could Adelia talk to her like that? Lobelia is unhappy when her sister is silent, and she doesn't like it when she speaks either. What does she want? Then Adelia directly asked if her sister was jealous of her. Lobelia didn't quite understand what was going on. And then Adelia explained. The crown prince did not even look at the youngest of the sisters, but the eldest danced with him and even talked in private. She's going crazy about this, isn't she? Of course, Adelia completely understood her. The youngest is in better health, she is more beautiful and younger. But, however, the prince still chose Adelia. Lobelia began to scream furiously, insulting her older sister, when people burst into the room asking what was going on here. These were imperial knights. When Lobelia removed her hand, raised above Adelia's head to strike, she immediately began yelling and asking questions about who these people were. And how dare they break into her estate? Then one of the men, the very first to appear, introduced himself. His name is Don, and he is the head of the Imperial Guard. They arrived at the estate on the orders of the Crown Knight. But he considered his own question, which had been asked earlier and ignored by Lobelia, to be much more important. So what did they just do? Then Adelia stood between the two of them and said that it was just a small quarrel between the sisters. The girl herself was thinking about what kind of knight the crown prince had decided to send for her. Afterwards, she asked the knights to turn away for a minute, because the girl was still in her nightclothes. All the guards immediately blushed and immediately turned away. Adelia never expected Lucian to send the head of the Imperial Guard. Don Kreder is the youngest head of the Imperial Guard in history, as well as the right hand of the crown prince, which makes him close to the imperial family. He is much more supportive of Adelia than she really thought. Suddenly, almost the entire Vita family burst into the room. Count Vita, brother and stepmother, and Adelia. The imperial guards bowed down synchronously and with lightning speed. Then Don Kreder told the count his full name, position, and said that he had arrived by order of the crown prince to escort Miss Adelia to the imperial court. From now on, Mrs. Adelia should be treated like a crown princess. These words of his infuriated Lobelia. The rest of the family simply froze with their mouths open, shocked by this turn of events. They have always considered Adelia a non-entity, so now it is even difficult for them to admit that her position is higher than theirs. How long did they think she should have remained a simple daughter of the count? The girl said that she would immediately begin preparations for moving to the palace and asked her to wait a little. The head of the guard bowed and asked her not to rush to get ready. Lobelia was horrified. What was happening around her was like a nightmare. She suddenly grabbed Adelia by the hand and in a whisper demanded an explanation. Then Adelia warned her sister to watch her words, because she is the daughter of a count and must behave accordingly. Her words could easily affect the reputation of the family. They are, of course, sisters, but Adelia is now the crown princess. She deserves more respect. Adelia, clinging closely to her sister, reminded her of her question about lies, and she admitted that in fact it was not the prince who chose her, but she who chose him. According to her, he would never lay an eye on Lobelia. There is no point in hoping. Lobelia was furious and started screaming that she would never believe this nonsense. And then Adelia again had to remind her sister that she must watch her words. After all, such beautiful lips as yours should not utter such dirty words, the girl said sarcastically. After which Adelia asked everyone to wait outside. Already in the palace, the crown prince told her that the contract was certified both by law and magic. It included all the conditions that they discussed yesterday. Lucian asked her to take a look for herself. After reviewing the contract, Adelia kindly concluded that she was now officially his fiancée. Lucian stood up and extended his hand to her, telling her that he would look forward to their cooperation. Adelia awkwardly asked if he had a poisoned needle hidden in his sleeve by chance, and she warned that the poison had no effect on her. It suddenly seemed to the girl that they were going to get rid of her secretly. However, Lucian said that he knew that to kill a white magician, a sacred sword was needed, and not some kind of poisoned needle. Then Adelia asked why he suddenly decided to show respect to her. His attitude towards her changed a little. Yesterday he was not nearly as kind. Lucian explained that yesterday she was an ordinary noblewoman who loomed before his eyes, and today she is already his bride. He must treat the future member of the imperial family with respect, even if it is just a transaction. This seemed to be true because the crown prince values his family very much. This means that Lucian now considers her part of his family. She shook Lucian's hand and said that she also looked forward to their cooperation. And then she asked me to let go of the formalities. The name alone was quite enough. She, moreover, would prefer to get rid of this surname as soon as possible. Just as Lucian was about to lead the princess to her chambers, a tiny pink-haired girl flew into the room. The baby was heading straight into the arms of her big brother until she noticed Adelia. When the two girls' gazes crossed, the baby's eyes sparkled. She even seemed to have forgotten about her brother. And clenching her fists near her chest, she looked at Adelia with admiration. Adelia's heart sank. Could this really be Princess Ariana? It looked like Lucian was about to pick her up, but the baby rushed past him as if he didn't notice. The young princess just asked if the fairy was in front of her, when Adelia's whole body trembled with emotion. The little girl's eyes shone with admiration. Adelia understood that Ariana was the main character of the novel and all that, but how could she be so lovely? Is she really a girl or really a sweetie? Adelia gathered her strength, pulled herself together, and was able to utter only a polite greeting. She knelt down on one knee in front of the princess and introduced herself as Adelia Vita, but she insisted that Ariana simply call her Adelia. The little girl squeezed the girl's hand in hers and agreed with pleasure. Then she said that her name was Ariana Flos Dekrock, and she was very glad to meet you. Adelia was talking about how she hoped to make friends with the princess, when suddenly her view was blocked by someone's legs. Lucian crossed his arms over his chest and looked down at her. He said that his younger sister could not address his wife by her first name. This is against the rules of good etiquette, even if Adelia herself does not object. Adelia protested. Her Highness the Princess was happy to call the girl simply Adelia. Lucian stood his ground, because it was still against the rules of etiquette. True, this did not last long. As soon as Ariana looked at him pitifully and asked for forgiveness again, Lucian honestly tried to explain that Adelia would soon become the crown princess, and Ariana, as a princess by birthright, should. However, the little girl was only interested in the fact that she wanted to make friends with Adelia. Lucian dutifully stroked her head and agreed. After which, the princess, in a sing-song voice, saying that she had the best brother in the world, rushed into his arms. On the way to the palace, Adelia stopped by Eileen's bakery and grabbed dessert. The girl suggested that the princess try it. The little princess immediately forgot about her brother, and her eyes shone again. Now Eileen's bakery is the most popular place in the capital, and the girl, moreover, loves sweets very much. Adelia handed the sugar girl the entire box and said that the sweets in it were her favorite. And she was just about to leave for her chambers and invited the princess to accompany her to try desserts together. Lucian was in shock, so he stood silently behind the two. Adelia just turned to him and asked to show him where her bedroom was. Already in her own chambers, Adelia asked the little princess what desserts she loved most. Adelia liked strawberry croissants most of all. Ariana preferred chocolate muffins that had whipped cream on top. Lucian thought that he had always taught his sister to be careful around men, but it seemed like he should have warned him about women too. Ariana sat comfortably on Adelia's lap. Lucian sat in a chair to the side of them. The princess devoured muffins. Adelia clearly looked pleased with what was happening. Lucian, on the other hand, looked very unhappy. His sister had clearly been lured away. When they offered him dessert, he refused because he doesn't like sweets. But Adelia objected that these cakes were not too sweet. He should like them. Ariana immediately supported it because everything was incredibly delicious. Lucian tried to wriggle out of it, saying he wasn't in the mood for dessert. But when Ariana looked down in disappointment, she would really like him to eat with them. The man agreed to try a piece and was shocked. The dessert was incredibly tasty, but the crown prince only managed to squeeze out a meager, "not bad." However, Ariana gave him away. The little girl said that he definitely liked it, because she had never seen her brother with such an expression on his face. Adelia kindly remarked that the prince must be very modest and reserved, while Lucian himself reflected on the fact that he had never expected the princess and the future princess to get along. When he and Adelia talked in the living room yesterday, the man was absolutely convinced that the girl's family had caused her a lot of trauma. "I want to destroy the Vita family and drag this name through the mud." He was worried that Adelia might begin to envy Ariana, who knew nothing in life except love. Well, fortunately, his fears were not justified. Although it may be that the girl is only pretending. Ariana admitted that she thought she had already eaten all the desserts from Eileen's bakery. But today, I tried some that I had never even heard of before. Then Adelia told her a secret. She only brought new desserts and, moreover, Eileen is under her leadership, so she can try all the new items from the bakery first. The baby was shocked and promised that Adelia could trust her when she asked to remain silent and keep it a secret. Lucian was surprised. Is she no longer going to hide the fact that she is a white magician? Despite all the threats that rained down on her for 3 years, she never appeared in public. But Adelia said that she has no such plans at all. She believed that the princess could be trusted. In addition, the entire continent already knows about rumors that Chief Eileen is a white magician, and this rumor is true. Lucian asked if she would deny it in order to increase the value of her company, but Adelia objected, because the company is already worth enough. She's going to achieve the commercialization of white magic stones in the empire. He just dreams that everyone, noble or commoner, can use them. The power contained in a white magic stone depends on its size, but even a small fragment of it retains its cleansing feelings. If they start selling stones that are too small to have any commercial value at a bargain price, the commoners will fare much better. Lucian had no reason to refuse her, since her goal was to improve the lives of their people. However, the commercialization of stones is only possible within the empire. Of course, Adelia understands this, but for the plan to work, no one must know that the white magician is the crown princess. Ariana listened to their conversation with incomprehension. They discussed that all the inconvenience was due to the nobles. If they find out that the crown princess creates white stones and sells them in the market, the nobles will interfere and will definitely ruin everything. At first, since this is the crown princess's business, this leads to speculation that this is also the business of the imperial family. And then all the nobles who are allowed to invest will pounce on this opportunity. Lucian agreed with this. Nobles with the right to invest in imperial business would not miss their opportunity. When sales of white magic stones grow sufficiently, these same nobles will lay claim to them. They will say, "As investors, we have the right to monopolize this business." The widespread use of white magic stones will help keep the nobles in line. This will also improve the lives of everyone in the empire. Adelia kindly remarked that she would be grateful if Lucian would help her. Then Lucian asked what if the sale of stones went beyond the borders of the empire. Adelia said that it was for this reason that she was transferring the rights to trade to the imperial family. The crown prince knew that she was implying that the matter of eliminating the possibility of stone smuggling now rested on the shoulders of the imperial family. And if the goods still leak across the border, that's their problem. That is why Adelia transferred the rights to trade so easily. She turned out to be much smarter than Lucian thought. As long as they control the sales in their empire, they will also be able to sell the stones to neighboring countries at a high price. Lucian, rising from his chair, insisted that they needed to draw up a contract as soon as possible. Then he took little Ariana from Adelia's arms. The princess protested, tossing and turning in her older brother's arms. She wanted to stay with Adelia. After which the little girl suddenly came to her senses and asked if Adelia really was a magician. The girl confirmed, but clarified that she is a special magician, not quite like the others. A soft, yellow glowing butterfly landed on Ariana's pink nose. The baby was delighted. The butterfly was incredibly beautiful. Her heart even became lighter, and she felt much more cheerful. Adelia explained that this butterfly contained her white magic. She herself is a white magician, and they specialize in healing and protection. Lucian didn't even have time to come to his senses when Ariana escaped from his arms and rushed to Adelia. The little princess kept babbling about her admiration for Adelia when she promised to create a magical artifact later and give it to Ariana. Then magic will always bring joy to the baby and protect her if necessary. Adelia thought seriously about this idea. Maybe they should have made the ring, although a ring for a child her age would bring nothing but inconvenience. Then probably a necklace, with red stones, just like the eyes of a princess, although a hair decoration is also suitable. Lucian was seriously worried that these two seemed to be in their own separate world. Ariana said goodbye to Adelia and wished her a good rest. When the baby left, Adelia asked why Lucian was looking at her so intently. Then the crown prince directly asked why she was so interested in his younger sister. Where does so much unconditional love come from for a child whom she sees for the first time? For the real Adelia, who died in another world for several years, Ariana has always been the only hope. A ray of sunshine amidst the daily storm of many years. They finally met. How can you not love this little girl? Seeing her in person, Adelia was only more convinced of this, and he will always be on her side no matter what she does. But won't Adelia tell him the truth? Therefore, she only briefly said that there was no person who would not like this charming child. However, Lucian did not fall for this. He immediately began to threaten. If Adelia suddenly had any ulterior motives, if she tried to hurt Ariana. But the girl interrupted him, asking him not to even worry about it. He will also be jealous of how well these two get along. Therefore, she suggested that the prince stop his useless and groundless worries about her relationship with the princess, and finally tell her what she should beware of regarding the imperial family. Maybe there were rooms in the palace that she shouldn't go into. Adelia asked about this. Lucian replied that she could go where the crown princess was allowed to go. One of the guards would always follow her, so Lucian strongly advised the girl not to do anything stupid. Adelia said it was increasingly looking like she would be watched rather than protected. Although, by the way, why does a white magician need protection at all? Lucian said that the crown prince's bride would not be able to walk around with just her maid. He didn't even try to deny that he would be watching her, because the girl considered her assumption to be correct, although Lucian claimed that the presence of a guard was required by etiquette. Suddenly there was a sound like someone running down the corridor. A boy burst into the room, shouting the crown prince's name and asking if he was really getting married. Lucian stood up and said the boy's name harshly. Lawrence. Not only did he run through the corridors and make noise, but he also burst into the room without knocking while Lucian was receiving guests. Lucian threatened him with more etiquette lessons because he was acting like a child, even worse than Ariana. Lawrence hastened to justify himself. He was in shock and emotional. Then Adelia finally introduced herself and said that she was honored to meet him. Lawrence raised his eyebrows disdainfully and asked his brother what this bag of bones was. According to the boy, she was not beautiful enough and there was nothing special about her at all. He asked again if his brother was really going to marry this girl. It seems that Adelia's eye even twitched. What did that little thing just say? The girl thought. Lawrence, folding his arms across his chest, just as Lucian had recently done, said that he did not like Adelia. Lucian ordered him to remember his manners, show respect, and greet him properly. Little Lawrence blushed, but still said a short, hello. Adelia also said hello, trying to hide her indignation. Lawrence noticed that if you look closely, the girl still has some beauty. But he immediately came to his senses and again began to stand his ground. He insisted that he was in a huge shock when he returned from the hunt, when he was immediately informed that his older brother was getting married. And even on this girl. Lawrence believed that there was no way the man could have made such a decision without consulting him. However, Lucian argued that he did not need his brother's opinion on the matter of marriage. After the crown prince asked whether Lawrence had listened to what his father was saying, the boy did not understand anything and asked again. Lucian was surprised and upset that Lawrence came running here without even greeting his father. Adelia remembered that little Lawrence had the nickname, the Slowpoke of the imperial family. She didn't know who came up with it, but she agreed that the nickname suited him. The boy still did not understand what his father had to tell him. Then Lucian finally reported that this woman was a white magician. Lawrence was shocked, to say the least. The words, "This ugly woman is a white magician," came out of his mouth recklessly. But later his face acquired an expression of pure delight, just like little Ariana's. Adelia found it touching. These two are definitely related. Adelia provided evidence as almost her entire body was surrounded by a golden glow. Lawrence was delighted, pressing his hand to his chest. His wounds had healed, and he no longer felt tired. This means that this is really white magic because it differs from ordinary magic and light forces. But he still has scars. The boy asked if white magic could only heal small wounds. Adelia said that this is not the case. White magic could leave scars because it works differently than healing magic. It seemed to her that the large wounds should be looked at by the priest, so Adelia left the scars. But she honestly promised that she would not leave scars on him for life because he is a very important person for the Empire. Then the boy finally said enthusiastically that he agreed, and she was suitable for the role of his brother's bride. Lawrence believed that his brother deserved such a capable wife. Then Adelia introduced herself and said that she would be glad if the boy called her by name. Then she turned to Lucian and asked if he minded. Lucian thought that there was no point in asking him because Adelia didn't care what he thought. Then Lawrence offered to say hello again and took the appropriate position. His full name is Lawrence Rivera de Crack. Adelia introduced herself as Adelia Vita and said that she hoped they would get along. A little later, Adelia settled down in her chambers on the bed. She was incredibly tired this day. In the yard, things are really different. But she's also glad she got here so quickly. After all, in this way he will be able to get along with the residents of the palace faster. Little Lawrence and tiny Ariana, they are so cute that Adelia loses her head when she sees them. How can they be so adorable? It's hard to believe that these two kids and the Emperor and Lucian are from the same family. But still, Adelia did not think that they were bad people. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. The guest of her chambers turned out to be the main maid of honor. Her name was Joanna, and she was appointed close to Adelia. Therefore, she was ordered to make sure that Adelia was comfortable. The woman asked to let her know if Adelia needed anything. Adelia, in turn, thanked her and said that her chambers were very comfortable. Adelia called the woman by her status, Lady Joanna. She bowed and said that there was no need for formalities at all, because Adelia was the future crown princess. But Adelia knew that the woman was the crown prince's nanny. Everyone who is important to His Highness is also important to Adelia, as the girl said. Therefore, she would like to pay due respect. According to the plot of the original novel, Joanna was brought to the palace by the Empress. It will be helpful to maintain a good relationship with her. Besides, in the book, Joanna lost her son due to illness, and immediately after that, she died under the wheels of a carriage. She is a minor character with a tragic fate. But after her death, the crown prince, who lost his dear friend and nanny in one person, was never able to recover from this. The culprits of her death turned out to be nobles who opposed Lucian, but the crown prince never found out about this. If you think about it, this story is not at all touching, but rather tragic. Then Adelia remembered that His Highness promised to send a maid for her, but the girl never saw her. Joanna said that the maids had come with her, but first she asked to look at one piece of paper. These are the affairs of the 3 maids assigned to her by the crown prince. Jana admitted with satisfaction that the prince valued Adelia very much and was very careful about this. She must have been pleased to see her pupil in love, so Adelia did not dare to destroy this illusion. The maids were the eldest daughter of a knight, the second daughter of a viscount, and the third daughter of Count Volt. Adelia was wondering why the daughter of a noble nobleman, the count, became a maid of the crown princess. Everything was so obvious. The fact is that most ladies-in-waiting are daughters of knights or viscounts or other nobles with a lower title. There are no adult women in the imperial family now, so there is no one to attend high society meetings. There is no point in becoming a maid of honor for the daughter of a nobleman with a title higher than a viscount. The only reason why such a girl would want to serve someone from the imperial family is for some kind of political plan. Most likely, she aims to become a crown princess or wants to become the bride of another prince. If the former is true, then obviously Lily will try to harm her. They're both daughters of earls, so she probably thinks she has a chance. Adelia asked if Lily volunteered to become a maid of honor on her own. Joanna confirmed this, but said that Adelia should not worry about it. After all, she will soon become the crown princess, and a lady of her status often has ladies-in-waiting from noble families. Then Joanna asked whether to invite the maids to her chambers. Their names were Anna, Barry, and Lily. Anna and Barry introduced themselves affably and seemed happy to serve the future princess. Lily, in turn, said only a short, "Hello." She looked at Adelia so fiercely, as if "I hate you" was already written on her face. Adelia said that she was glad to meet everyone and hoped that they would be comfortable together. In the evening, the emperor invited her to dinner. The whole family was there, their father, Lucian, Lawrence, and baby Ariana. The emperor asked Adelia to sit down. The children were very happy to see her, especially the little princess. Lucian pulled out a chair for her and asked her to sit next to him. The food was incredibly delicious. Adelia was delighted. And the imperial family eats such dishes every day. Ariana was fed by the whole family, from the emperor to the youngest of her older brothers. It's as if her cheeks are about to burst. Her whole family dotes on her. It seems like this is what a happy family should look like. In Adelia's past life, breakfasts, lunches, and dinners were stingy and passed in complete solitude. All her life she dreamed of such a family. But there was no point in measuring family happiness now. Lucian pushed the dish towards Adelia. She didn't understand at all why the man did this. Ariana continued to recommend delicious dishes to her and move her closer to the girl so that she could try everything. Even Lawrence joined her. Adelia thanked them all. Lucian looked pleased with what was happening. A little later, the maid came to take Ariana to bed. The baby protested she wanted to play some more. The emperor said it was time for the little princesses to go to bed, but Ariana had plenty of time to play tomorrow. Ariana wished everyone good night and asked Adelia to play with her tomorrow. When the little princess left, the emperor immediately got down to business. Lucian has already informed him that Adelia plans to hide the fact that she is a white magician. Adelia confirmed that this was true, at least for a while longer. Everyone already knows that Eileen's boss is a white magician, so we can't let it become known that she is the boss. Lawrence was again the last to be shocked. The boy just found out that Adelia is the head of Eileen. He was angry that his brother and father knew about everything, but he was the only one who was not in the know. Lucian again threatened his brother with etiquette lessons. The emperor was also unhappy. He had not heard anything about his son since his return, and now the boy was causing a scene. Adelia tried to hush up the conflict by saying that she created her company secretly, hiding her identity. The boy heard about all these rumors. The girl who managed to meet the crown prince alone arrived at the palace, the daughter of Count Vita. Everyone was talking about the fact that she was almost the crown princess. Then the boy thought that the girl was not at all worthy of his brother. He believed that Adelia simply wanted to gain his brother's influence and wealth. But now little Lawrence thought that this girl was simply incredible. Adelia froze again, moved by this child, but the emperor again ordered the boy to calm down. After which the head of the family asked how many other people knew that she was a white magician. Adelia said that only her deputy knows. The emperor asked if he could be trusted. And then Adelia accidentally let out that he was her slave. But then she corrected herself, saying that he was her faithful partner. Adelia then asked how many people were aware of their agreement. Was there anyone else besides those present at the table? Lucian replied that for now only those sitting at the table. But he also plans to inform the head of the Imperial Guard and the leader of the secret squad soon. That is, to those people who are responsible for security in the palace. Adelia agreed. If it's just 2 people, then nothing bad will happen. The emperor also heard that she was planning to start selling artifacts and wanted to know when she would start. Lawrence was again impressed. His brother's fiancé is going to sell things that contain white magic. But the poor baby had to be put to rest again. He frowned but fell silent. Adelia said that she would start selling artifacts only after establishing sales of magic stones. Orders will be accepted in advance, and only from those who meet its requirements. Artifacts will also be magically bound to the buyer. This way, no one can abuse them. The emperor asked what kind of demands these were. And Adelia explained, for example, she will not sell the artifact to those with ties to crime. Or is he a member of the Assassin's Guild? Or he works for the nobles as a mercenary or soldier? The emperor agreed and said that in this case, their imperial family would be its first buyer. He asked me to create an artifact of better quality for them and promised to pay any amount. Adelia admitted that she was going to give the artifact to the princess, so she had already prepared everything necessary. Accordingly, they did not have to pay. They could consider it part of the dowry. The emperor continued to insist that she simply send a check. Adelia repeated that she creates artifacts herself, so they cost her almost nothing. But the emperor knew that Ariana already adores the girl. If the baby also receives a gift, they will become inseparable. He wasn't going to let that happen. Adelia decided not to resist and thereby not test her fate to the limit, so she simply agreed. She understood that the man was jealous because he believed that this would make him and the princess even closer. The crown prince, by the way, was exactly the same. And besides, this is not the only gift to the princess from Adelia. The emperor continued, the kingdom of Tassel is now at war and asks for their help. In exchange, they offer to give them a mine producing magic stones. Adelia remembered that this was precisely the kingdom that did not like strangers. She also heard that they refused help from the allied kingdoms even when they began to lose the war. The emperor was pleased with her knowledge. The arrogance of this state led to its almost complete destruction. Adelia did not advise helping them. The chance of winning is slim, especially when you consider how much money Tassel can invest in the war in comparison with their opponents. The emperor asked how she knew about this. Then the girl said that Tassel was one of her company's clients. Lately, their organizations have been purchasing less and less magical supplies, although they are necessary for their main weapon. What kind of victory can we talk about if they do not have enough funds to produce weapons? Her company will terminate the contract with Tassel after another order. Eileen doesn't do business with people who are doomed to fail. Now the emperor understood why Adelia was in charge of Eileen. Although she was younger than Lucian, Eileen's fate is entirely in her hands. Judging by the summary profitability analysis, the turnover of funds in Eileen functions in the same way as in any kingdom, but on a smaller scale. At the moment, Eileen is certainly capable of shaking the power in the small kingdom. The emperor was almost upset that Adelia was connected with them only by a fictitious marriage. He admitted that it wasn't surprising that she was Eileen's boss. She knows a lot about the organization's clients. So now, Adelia has announced that her company plans to start producing new jewelry. These will be women's jewelry with pink diamonds. The emperor asked if these jewelry would suit Ariana. Adelia convincingly proved that they will undoubtedly fit. They will look as if they were created just for a little princess. All three men, even the smallest one, shouted in an instant that they were taking everything. Then the pleased emperor invited her to attend each of their joint dinners. Lucian then reminded that there would soon be a banquet at which she should accompany him. Lawrence supported. She is Lucian's fiancée. Their engagement celebration has not yet taken place, so she must appear somewhere before the wedding takes place. Adelia got a headache just from the realization that there would be a lot of people there who hated her. In addition, she is the bride of the crown prince, whom no one has heard of, and she appeared very suddenly. Everyone will be interested in watching her, and everyone is divided into two groups, those who want to harm her and those who want to get closer to use her. But Lucian reassured her. There was nothing to worry about because he would be there, and it's unlikely that she will need anyone's help. He is sure that this girl can take care of herself. She wanted to appear in society less often, but it seems she has no choice. Still, she is looking forward to how her family will view the new crown princess. Once in her room, Adelia wanted to quickly finish the company's work. But when I opened the box, I discovered that it was empty. Adelia was horrified. A precious part of the artifact was missing. The girl leaned back in her chair and wondered who could have taken the stone. If she had known this would happen, she would have cast a locking spell. There was only a communication stone there. Either way, it's a good thing she cast a recording spell as soon as she arrived. But in the end, what kind of person dared to steal from the royal palace? The recording spell circled two maids who were moving the box while cleaning. Afterwards, it showed the moment when Adelia's governesses helped her with her outfit for dinner. And ultimately, it came to the last frame. Lily took the stone out of the box. Adelia smiled triumphantly. One could guess that she was the kidnapper. Adelia finally cast a spell with the help of which no one, except the swordmaster, would notice her absence. She shouted to the guards that she was going to rest, so she asked them not to enter until she called. The two just nodded in agreement. After which Adelia, right in her fluffy dress and red stilettos, jumped out of the window. Lily was thinking out loud in her room. "This is just funny," the girl said. Such a woman is the crown princess. She believed that Adelia was deceiving the crown prince. Behind the beautiful face. Surely Adelia seduced the crown prince, the girl reasoned. Recently, she has been annoying her father with the fact that she really wants to become a maid of honor to the crown princess. She also promised her tortured parent to immediately inform her if she suddenly saw something suspicious. Now the girl was furious. How dare the prince's fiancé bring such a high-grade communication stone to the imperial palace? This must be some kind of illegal means of communication, so Lily believed that Adelia was communicating with someone behind her back. Therefore, the girl was going to immediately report this find to His Highness. Suddenly, her hair was swept into one heap by a strong wind. Adelia sat on the windowsill in Lily's room, arms folded across her chest. The girl asked what her governess was going to report. When Lily tried to find out how the crown prince's bride ended up here, she only casually said, "Through the window, obviously." Then Adelia waved her hand, summoning her stone. Obviously, there is a thief in the palace, but it is good that the girl has the opportunity to return her property in this way. Lily still hadn't used it, although she would hardly be smart enough to find what exactly the stone is connected to. Lily couldn't understand what was going on at all, so she simply stared at Adelia in confusion. Where did the crown prince even get it from? Who is she? Lily had never seen Adelia before that reception. She told her that if the girl could find the source of the connection, Adelia would have to erase her memories. Adelia continued asking questions. For example, what she was trying to achieve by stealing the communication stone. Obviously, Lily must have wanted to find out who the artifact was connected to. Adelia understood that if the connection had been with someone outside the palace, Lily would have reported immediately, saying she was in contact with suspicious people. But why? Did the girl really think that the crown princess would be thrown out right away, having trusted some governess? Lily thought that the future crown princess seemed to know all her thoughts. Therefore, the girl had already begun to suspect that since Adelia was so confident, she could have come to her estate earlier. Perhaps she was secretly following Lily. Therefore, she immediately began to accuse Adelia of intending to harm the crown prince. And she justified herself by saying that, as a servant of the imperial family, she could not close her eyes to danger. Then Adelia reminded that Lily had forgotten who gave her this position and whose servant she was. After which, the future crown princess nevertheless explained to Lily the true state of affairs. What kind of idiot smuggles an illegal communication stone into the imperial palace? Unauthorized magical instruments cannot be brought into the palace. Even small children know about this. What about possible risks? Does she mean to say that she could harm His Highness? She really doesn't know anything about the crown princess. At the same time, the bearer of the sword, almost lying on his knees in front of the crown prince, talked about a certain incident. The fact was that the crown princess was missing. A few minutes earlier, the guard had looked into the room to find out if everything was all right with Adelia and discovered that the girl was not in the chambers at all. Lucien was shocked by what happened. While the prince was recovering, the bearer of the sword fell in front of him and began to beg for forgiveness, saying that it was entirely his fault. Lucien couldn't believe the girl ran away so early. When the guard suggested starting the search for her right away, the prince asked him not to take any action, because the crown prince was going to go look for her personally. Returning to the Bolt estate, Adelia thought, since Lily Bolt is a countess, she must know a lot about the imperial family. Therefore, he probably knows that if there is even the slightest hint of something strange, even without evidence, these people will destroy Adelia. And first of all, this communication stone, it is not illegal. Lily was horrified. It turns out there was no secret plan. She thought that someone was behind this, but if it wasn't... Adelia pressed the poor girl against the wall while she broke out in a cold sweat. How could Lily do something like that without knowing anything? Now, if the crown princess reveals that her bond gem has been stolen, although Lily is a countess, so if she's lucky, she might be subject to disciplinary action. But what if Adelia tells His Majesty the Emperor or His Highness the Crown Prince? Then for Lily, it is unlikely that everything will end in disciplinary punishment. The girl fell to her knees and begged for mercy. Adelia only said that she should be grateful that Adelia came to her secretly. If there was evidence, a public punishment could be arranged. Adelia continued to think out loud. Theft in the imperial palace. You'll be lucky if it ends with a severed wrist, but Adelia thought that Lily should be prepared to be imprisoned, or even to the point that her lovely head will separate from her body. Even if the punishment is not public, Mrs. Vita can do everything on her own. Enough to satisfy her. Lily continued to beg for mercy. She admitted that she was stupid and promised to do whatever the princess ordered. Adelia admitted that the law to protect the imperial palace was definitely excessive, and they agreed that Lily would stay here for a week, after which she would quit and leave the palace. And before the imperial banquet, as many different families as possible will attend a tea party. Her main task is to spread rumors as widely as possible. The future crown princess has dinner with the imperial family every day, and they discuss marriage so often, soon Lusa Castle, which is under reconstruction, will be given to her as a gift. Lily tried to object, if this lie is discovered, but Adelia interrupted her. It won't be a lie if the truth happens. As long as Lily didn't betray her and disgrace part of the imperial family, she wouldn't have to avoid anyone. Lily swore that of course she would do it. She herself thought that she would die helplessly or be taken to prison. If she were Adelia, she would immediately tell the crown prince about everything, and the culprit would receive a great punishment. Adelia ordered her not to tell anyone what happened today. Otherwise, she will reconsider her punishment. Lily thought that Adelia, despite her enormous strength, was still so generous and merciful. Adelia disappeared again through the window opening. Lily was delighted with the future princess, so merciful and graceful. Adelia suddenly felt goosebumps. Either way, it took longer than she expected. We need to return as soon as possible. Climbing through the window of her chambers, she thought with relief that no one seemed to be looking for her. However, Lucian was waiting for her right under the window. Therefore, when Adelia slipped awkwardly, the crown prince immediately caught her under the waist. The princess was very scared when everything happened. Suddenly, she felt something hard with her hand. It turned out to be Lucian's chest, who in turn just silently looked away. Adelia, realizing what was happening, immediately pulled her hands away. However, Lucian pulled her back, still without saying a word. "Where were you just now?" was the only thing he said. When Lucian first discovered that Adelia had disappeared, his guard insisted on starting a secret search. Therefore, the crown prince had to explain everything to him. Adelia can use magic so that the protective wards thrown over the entire palace will not be able to interfere with her. No wonder the girl disappeared so secretly. However, this was not stated in the contract. Lucian remembered that in a year, when they would review the contract as planned, he would add this clause. There is no escape clause in the contract, so there will be no problem with the renewal even if she disappears. But since Adelia herself asked for the position of crown princess, Lucian could not imagine that the girl could disappear or run away. Until this moment, Lucian had been carefree. He ordered the head of his guard army to leave, and he disappeared with a bow. In fact, Lucian didn't think Adelia had actually run away. Suddenly, Adelia stumbled into the room, right into the man's arms. Fortunately, he managed to catch her, pressing her tightly to his chest. A few seconds later, the girl came to her senses and pushed the man away. Lucian persisted. Why was she pushing him away? Is she going to run away as soon as the man lets her go? He then informed the girl, even if this is not provided for in the contract, escape is unacceptable. After all, he is not going to let the girl go, at least until the contract ends. Adelia was embarrassed by such close proximity. His face was impermissibly close, so she could not turn away. Lucian casually remarked that his face seemed to suit her taste. Adelia thought that his face was indeed the problem. After some time, he finally let the girl go, and Adelia, in the name of maintaining distance, was already in the other part of the room. Lucian found teasing her surprisingly fun, but he only asked if she had calmed down now. She, blushing, briefly confirmed that it was so, after which they simultaneously began asking questions. Where was Adelia? And why is Lucian in her room? And immediately both began to deny, saying that Adelia was the first to ask, and Lucian was the one who was waiting for her first. Adelia had to admit that one of her things was missing, and so the girl left to look for it. Lucian was amazed. When Adelia said that she was looking for her thing, did this mean that someone had stolen it? Adelia said that was true, but she managed to get her bondstone back. This is a top-quality item that cannot be purchased. She uses it when she works. Lucian was only interested in who the kidnapper was. The man promised that as soon as he found out the name, Lucian would immediately punish her. Adelia said that this was not necessary. She had already punished the girl. She told her to leave the palace as soon as it dawned. As a bonus, she also made me do small tasks. Lucian noted that for someone who dared to touch the things of the imperial family, this was an inappropriate punishment. The girl noticed that even if the punishment is not severe every time, the dignity of the imperial family will not suffer. Sometimes it pays to show mercy. And in fact, Adelia was also mistaken. Lucian asked what mistake she was talking about, and his fiancée said that this communication stone was faulty and therefore was not for sale. Magical instruments created using white magic often possess people. This stone was also made using white magic, so it has unique energy. This energy enhances people's desires. It must have happened when the desire to defeat her and this energy met. If it had been an ordinary communication stone, it probably would not have been stolen. Lucian admitted that this was the first time he had heard of such a thing, and he asked me to look. Adelia placed the artifact in his hand, and she explained his ignorance by the fact that, in principle, little is known about white magic. Lucian noticed that when he looked at the stone, he did not feel any energy. Suddenly, a voice was heard from the stone. Someone was very happy that Adelia was finally in touch. Adelia knew that this was her faithful servant, her business assistant. But why does he contact her at such an inconvenient moment? Lucian asked who it was just now. The girl was clearly not happy about this question. The crown prince asked if she already had a partner. Adelia was shocked by such a question, but she was able to compare the facts and understand where such a question came from. This is probably due to the fact that when they entered into the contract, it was said that they could have a lover. As long as it doesn't harm my status, I don't care whether it's a mistress or someone else, her own words. Therefore, Lucian suggested that she wanted to have fun. Adelia had her own opinion on this matter. It would be better for her to remain alone than for Colin to become her lover. Therefore, she quickly refuted all the incorrect guesses and said that Colin was her personal assistant. He asked to contact him at night, but it was such a bad time. Then Lucian hastened to say that there was no clause in the contract that the wife of the crown prince could have lovers. Therefore, all men except himself are now officially banned. Adelia thought this was slightly unfair. If I do, it's an affair. If others do, it's infidelity. And besides, she said no herself. News about Adelia Vita quickly spread throughout the capital. The woman the crown prince chose was chosen by the imperial family from among many other families. People became curious about her, but Vita's family did not talk too much. And, obviously, this was a private matter of Adelia Vita, which she did not share with others, so no known information appeared. It was at this time that Lily Bolt, a maid in the crown prince's palace, appeared. She spoke positively about any action of Adelia. "I have never seen such gentle and loving people as Adelia," she said. At one of the tea parties, there was an active discussion about Adelia. One countess heard completely different rumors about Mrs. Vita. "I heard that she was so wayward that even when she lived with Vita's family, she beat her maids." Gossip flowed like wine. Lily stubbornly rejected any negative information, calling it all vicious rumors. Bolt spoke of the crown prince's fiancée as if she were an angel who was forgiving and compassionate towards the mistakes of her subordinates. Lily said that on her first day in the palace, Adelia was even invited to dinner with the entire imperial family, and of course, she stayed until the end. Besides, that night His Highness himself entered her room. A blatant lie, but effective. Judging by the rumors, Adelia is now receiving a lot of love from the imperial family. Considering how scary and cold the emperor and the crown prince were, many would start to tremble as soon as they saw one of them. But Lily convinced everyone that Adelia was absolutely not afraid of them. She had heard that His Majesty and His Highness had personally given orders that she should be treated the same as the crown prince. Commander of the Imperial Guard Dion Kreter, he arrived by order of the crown prince to personally escort Lady Vita. Therefore, from this moment on, absolutely everyone treats Mrs. Adelia as the crown princess. The girl is no longer different from the crown prince. When Lily was asked how these two decided to get engaged, she only answered that she also did not know all the details, but it was clear that their hearts were connected. Bolt sang songs about how they fell in love at first sight when they first met. Now they are speeding up the engagement process in order to quickly begin preparations for the wedding ceremony. Everyone compared the love story of Adelia and Lucien with the hysteria of the emperor and empress. Lobelia Vita, listening to all these rumors day after day, could not find peace for herself. Why the hell does he care so much about this remarkable and defective, like this girl? She kept thinking. Suddenly, someone asked Lobelia if they were sisters, and they asked to tell us more about the crown prince and his bride since they are relatives. Lobelia smiled sweetly and said that her sister didn't really love her that much, and if Adelia has nothing to do with her, they don't talk at all. The countesses of the kingdom were shocked because they are a family who have lived together for many years. Lobelia continued to portray herself as the victim, saying that in fact her sister had gone to the royal palace without telling anyone. They say they send letters every day, but there is still no answer. She probably liked the palace and her new family so much that she forgot about her real one. Lily hastened to justify the crown princess. Adelia is very busy. The princess prepares for the upcoming banquet and trains to become the crown princess, while also taking on the responsibilities of ruling the courtyard. She probably doesn't even have time to read letters. Lobelia assured that she could not lack time for one letter, but soon they would all meet at the banquet. The girl at this banquet was finally going to prove herself. Who dares to look at the one who was born by killing her mother? In the palace, the entire imperial family gathered in Adelia's room. The emperor and crown prince didn't even bother to come up with a decent excuse. Although the reason was obvious, everyone gathered around the adored baby Ariana. An hour ago, Adelia again treated the little princess with sweets. That's when the first guest came into the room. Lawrence came to read a book with his sister. Later, Lucien appeared. The man assured that he came because he wanted to consult about something related to magic stones. But, noticing Ariana, as if he didn't know where she was, he immediately forgot about the stones. Adelia asked him to lie a little more convincingly when the emperor literally flew into the room without even giving an excuse. He honestly said that he came because the attention of his precious daughter did not belong to him. Adelia, of course, was glad that her eyes live in luxury. But they all come not once or twice, but already all week. And how can she do her job in this case? She was working on documents of the strictest secrecy, while they all openly stared in her direction. So if these were still ordinary people... But no, these men were able to remember the entire document at once, looking at it only once. We must not let our guard down. But to some extent, Adelia understood them. Ariana is so sweet that nothing can be done. The little princess asked for notepaper to write a letter to Adelia. The crown princess immediately rushed to fulfill Ariana's every whim. The little girl was delighted with the beautiful envelopes and paper design. But on one of the sheets, the girl discovered Korean letters. She approached Adelia to ask about it. However, the baby turned out to be very smart. She didn't say a single incriminating word out loud. She just put the sheets of paper on the table and said that she would like to take them. On the corner of one of the leaves were written in Korean 2 words, "Why me?" Adelia didn't think Ariana would see anything, and it was written so carelessly that there was almost no chance. But the crown princess was still caught, so it is necessary to somehow explain everything. The emperor, crown prince, and Prince Lawrence sat motionless in their seats. Adelia found them similar to meerkats. Therefore, we had to invent an outfit from the head, which Adelia allegedly brought for the little princess. Ariana didn't understand at all what they were talking about, but Adelia insisted that at the last meeting, she promised to make an outfit, and now the dress is ready. The princess finally understood everything and played along with Adelia. She threw herself into the girl's arms, asking to finally show her the new carriage. However, the 3 leading men in the empire still sat motionless. Then Adelia tried to show them out the door. She asked the 3 to leave the room, arguing this by saying that the princess needs to change clothes and try on a new dress. The emperor, crossing his arms over his chest, said that in such a case there was a dressing room nearby, so they can stay here. In addition, the emperor is obliged to see his daughter in a new dress. Adelia had to lie again about how she was going to change too, and again she asked them to leave, despite the awkwardness of the situation. Lawrence and his father still left the chambers but asked to be called as soon as everyone changed clothes. But Lucian chose to stay, calmly sipping his tea. The man explained this by saying that Ariana is his younger sister, and Adelia is the bride. His location here is in no way at odds with the rules of etiquette. Changing clothes in the same room between people who are not in a blood or marital relationship goes against etiquette. But Lucian generously said that it would be okay for him if Adelia also changed clothes in the dressing room. However, the girl did not dare to retreat. Pulling the bow on her collar, she began to take off her shirt right in front of the prince, finally getting him out the door. Having lied, Adelia agreed that his whereabouts were not a problem. They're engaged after all. Lucian's face eventually showed a range of emotions from excitement, outrage, and confusion. When the girl pulled the ribbon, he turned his head to the side and asked what she was doing. The crown princess calmly replied that she was going to take off her clothes to change. "After all, you are my fiancé. This in no way contradicts the rules of etiquette." Lucian finally stood up, blushing deeply and looking as displeased as possible. Then Adelia sarcastically admitted that her dress had 2 layers, but Lucian still left the chambers. After only Adelia and Ariana remained in the room, the future princess revealed that because of her magic, no one would hear a sound again, and she offered to talk to Ariana about what happened in the next room. The red-eyed girl looked very upset. She looked down and pursed her lips. Adelia never expected to be caught so quickly. She didn't know from what moment and what exactly she should tell. She already knows the whole story of this child, both past life and present, and her future. There is no need to tell her that this is a world inside a book and that Adelia was possessed. Either way, Ariana is reborn, not possessed. She is not at all like Adelia. It only takes one person to know the secrets of this world. There is no point in putting words into the mouths of different people. Then Adelia asked if the princess had memories of her past life just like herself. Ariana remembered writing in Korean in her previous life. The crown princess decided to lie that a few years ago she suddenly had memories of her past life. Ariana admitted that she has had memories of her past life since birth. After all, she died very young then. Adelia remembered these scenes in the novel. A little girl is hit to death by a huge truck. And after a few seconds, a small pink-haired baby lies in a cradle. Her still very young father and 2 older brothers look at the newborn baby with adoration. She always grew up in love and was surrounded by care. Adelia knew how difficult it was to bear all this alone. However, Ariana objected. Here, unlike her previous life, she has a family. Therefore, it was easier to bear all the secrets in my head. But she can be scared. The baby admitted that when she closes her eyes, it seems as if she is returning to that place. She is afraid that her new life is just a dream. She is very happy here, and even the thought of returning home brings tears to her eyes. The little girl inside Ariana, who died in an accident in her past life, asked what to do if they returned. The princess cried and tried to find out if everything around her was really an illusion, if this is all a dream, if she is destined to return. But Adelia assured her that nothing like this would ever happen again. Ariana can never come back. This is not a dream, and she will not be able to wake up from it. Even if you wake up after sleep, you will always be here. Time will pass, and she will still remain here with everyone. Well-founded evidence was the white magic that Adelia uses. She swore to the girl that she would live happily in the castle all her life. And Adelia will definitely take care of this. After Adelia's promise, little Ariana felt better. The princess's cheeks turned red and her eyes closed with relief. Adelia asked if Princess Ariana wanted to return to that place, to her past life. The girl admitted that she sometimes thinks about it, but she never wants to go back. The crown princess again promised that Ariana will forever remain in her new life and will never know grief again. The future of this place in the book is determined, so she will always live happily, as was the case in the original novella. Then the little princess asked if there were other people who knew about their past life, like she and Adelia. The girl thought for a while, but almost immediately replied that there were probably no such people anymore. In fact, they were a very rare occurrence. After which, Adelia admitted that she has a very capable partner, the Keeper of the Light, whom she takes with her. And he says that he has never seen anything like this in his many years. Adelia is not sure if anyone else knows the original, because she was possessed. The girl cannot say for sure that they do not exist, because she is the one who changed the original. That's why she told Ariana that the likelihood that they exist is very small. Apart from Adelia Vita, almost nothing has changed. If there had been someone else, the story would have gone completely differently. Ariana suddenly walked up to the girl and tried to ask awkwardly. But Adelia understood that the girl wanted to keep this conversation a secret between the two of them. She loved Ariana very much, that's why she promised that she wouldn't tell anyone anything. They shook each other's little fingers childishly, sealing the promise. Adelia patted the baby's hair and noticed that she had suffered for so long in her past life, and finally, her fate would be good. The girl will grow up without knowing grief. Ariana awkwardly remarked that it was because her dad and brothers loved her so much. And now she also has Adelia. Ariana admitted that, in fact, when the girl first opened her eyes and saw her father and brothers, she was very surprised. Adelia asked if they were very beautiful. Their faces deserved praise. Adelia said that this was the first time she had seen such beautiful people. And then she added that the little prince and princess are the best. After some time, they finally returned to trying on new things. Adelia brought a bunch of outfits and they were all just for the little princess. But they didn't have enough time to try everything on. Adelia suggested that he quickly try on one of the outfits that he liked the most. Ariana noticed that Adelia's facial expression was exactly the same as her father's when he gives the baby a gift and waits. They ended up trying on a bunch of outfits, from floral dresses to formal school uniforms. The baby was very tired and completely exhausted after a while. But fortunately, it happened when they seemed to have found the best outfit of all. Adelia asked the princess to get up from the floor and look at the mirror. Neat pink buns went perfectly with the delicate pink dress. Adelia also changed her outfit and offered to go and show off to His Majesty. Lawrence and his father dutifully waited in the corridor outside the door, but the emperor still resented the lengthy fitting of outfits. It's as if these dresses are not measured, but sewn themselves. However, once in the room, they were stunned. The sweet little girl immediately ran into her father's arms. The emperor was delighted with the appearance of his daughter. He announced that he needed to call the artist now, draw a picture and place it on the stairs of the main castle. The idea also came up to place a small painting and a pendant. And in the office, and in the emperor's bedroom, there is also a painting of his daughter. Little Lawrence picked it up and said that he was going to place it in the imperial repository. Adelia looked at them and thought that this is a real family. May the princess always smile like that, she thought. Adelia will definitely do everything to make her happy. The emperor asked if these clothes were Eileen products. Pretty good quality. Adelia was pleased with the work done because all the outfits fit the baby perfectly, so she honestly said that these outfits were created by her. Then the emperor asked to bring more so that Ariana's portrait could be captured. Lawrence awkwardly pulled Adelia by the fabric of her dress and asked if there was something there for him too. Well, it's not like he really wanted or needed it. Adelia said that now, unfortunately, she had brought outfits only for the princess, but she promised to take him for him next time. Little Lawrence immediately began to deny and tell him not to do it. The boy kept blushing awkwardly and embarrassed. After some time, Adelia and Ariana went to the training ground. The little princess complained that even when not during training, Lucian spent every hour on the battlefield. Adelia asked if there was anything bothering His Highness. But Ariana just smiled sweetly and said that seeing such a beautiful crown princess, he would immediately forget about all his worries. Lucian practiced his sword fighting. Adelia was shocked. Is Lucian really destroying magic by force? But how can a person do this? Ariana immediately rushed to her older brother, saying that he was incredibly cool in his battle. When Ariana reached out to her brother to climb into his arms, he wanted to ask about her things, but seeing Adelia, he immediately turned his back to both girls. The crown prince turned away and covered his face with his palm, hiding his blush. Adelia was again left shocked. Did he just ignore the princess? Little Ariana was very upset by such indifference on the part of her brother. Even Adelia herself was very upset. This man cannot just pass by his sister. Was he really surprised by the beauty of the princess in this way? Lucian, once in his chambers, grabbed his head and tried to return to his senses. He recalled how a couple of hours ago Adelia was going to undress in front of him. The girl then said that his presence in the room would not be a problem. But Adelia is not a child. Lucian knew she had no intention of actually taking her clothes off. However, in his head, her ringing, "I'm taking things off," never stopped replaying over and over again, as if on a broken record. Lucian felt like he was going crazy. True, I'm completely out of my mind. Why did he suddenly run away from the girls? Suddenly, the door to his chambers opened sharply and the man turned around. Ariana was in the doorway. The little girl screamed sharply that she hated her brother and asked him to no longer pretend that they knew each other. Lucian was petrified with shock. What was this now? Adelia went to the Imperial Library in search of a book of spells. Of course, she felt sorry for the little princess. And then she felt sorry for her brother, who tried to please Ariana at every whim, but every time he turned away. But on the other hand, thanks to this, Adelia can finally spend time alone. Kai, her assistant, found some mana stones, so it was time for Adelia to make some artifacts. That's why she turned the library upside down in search of a book about artifacts. The girl even had a headache while she was researching all those volumes of information, but could not find anything. The murders and kidnappings that took place in the Empire. She could not understand where these murderers and thieves were being treated. What kind of healing water do they have? If the story develops the way it did in the original, then the ending will be happy. But the problem is that the process itself will not be happy. In addition, she has already become a change in the original, so now she does not know what will happen. Artifacts will have to be created taking into account the future of each member of the Imperial family. Finally, completely exhausted, Adelia decided to rest a little. She remembered the information that the Imperial Library contained a lot of forbidden literature. Will there be something about obsession there? Suddenly, the girl noticed something on one of the shelves that could interest her. The realization of the situation confused the girl. The forbidden books, which had been kept for many generations, were pornographic. One of the books had a very provocative title, The Emperor on the Empress's Chain. Adelia suddenly realized that she should appear here much more often. The Emperor and his family only keep such good things for themselves, right? Sometime later, Adelia met Ariana for a walk in the park. The little girl wondered why Adelia had been so busy lately. Always when the young princess comes to see her, Adelia is not there and the little girl gets bored. Adelia apologized for this and said that recently she had been overwhelmed with work, so she was in the library all the time. And she also makes gifts for members of the Imperial family, But the girl didn't have time to finish. Ariana promised that she didn't have to give gifts at all. She already receives them from Adelia every day. Adelia understood that just living like this was already a huge task for the princess. What it was then, what it is now. That's why she asked me to just accept all her gifts. And in order to somehow distract the girl, she suggested taking a walk in the garden and then going for a snack. Ariana received a bun with cream for a snack, which was already delighted. However, when it turned out that the bun was filled with chocolate cream, she immediately began to gobble it up on both cheeks. Adelia recommended trying it with strawberries, because now is the season, so the berry is very sweet and tasty. The little princess reminded the girl of a squirrel. Ariana admitted that she loves not just strawberries, but strawberry tart. However, Adelia objected. The girl is growing, so she needs to eat a lot of fruits, and not just sweets. Suddenly, an arrow broke the glass of the greenhouse in which they were resting. Adelia could not use white magic when guarding the palace and other people. But she must protect the princess with ordinary magic, so she tried to do everything in her power. A blue stream of magic cut through the air as Adelia grabbed the princess and darted to the side. The arrow pierced the girl's back, as if sending current through her body. Adelia began to fall to the floor, squealing in pain. But colliding with the ground, she fell silent, lying exhausted and bleeding. But it's still impossible to heal yourself with magic. If it reveals the cover, all plans will immediately turn into foam. Therefore, the girl only sobbed briefly. The feeling she felt was like poison. The moment when she loses her mind, like she's about to die. Little Ariana ran up to the princess in tears and screaming that Adelia could not die. The little girl could not understand why they did this to them. The guards had already rushed over to move Mrs. Adelia when the little princess asked why Adelia had substituted herself for her. Adelia tried to ask the girl to go to her room because it was dangerous outside now, but she could only squeeze out an inaudible grunt. And the little girl herself protested, refusing to go anywhere. She wanted to stay close. The guards, in complete shock, could not understand what to do. Adelia at that time begged them to pull the arrow out of her back. But the two men point-blank refused because she could lose consciousness right there due to blood loss. Along with the arrow, you can also pull out a piece of its meat. This is very dangerous. Serious bleeding may occur. Adelia frowned. These idiots knew nothing. You can't blame them. But the girl cannot die because of their ignorance right here. So I tried to get up slowly. Her name was heard shouted from the side. Lucian ran towards her as fast as he could. The man looked seriously frightened and was drenched in cold sweat. The prince sat down on one knee in front of her and began screaming for her to regain consciousness. Lucian couldn't understand how this even happened. Who dared so brazenly? Adelia had never seen a man like this before. However, the arrow was still in her back and her clothes were covered in blood. Lucian, feeling the wound, was still yelling right into Adelia's ear that a grown woman couldn't be so stupid. Was she really going to endure it to the limit? Adelia asked to get it out of her quickly. Lucian bit his lip as the girl in his arms began to scream in pain. However, he stubbornly continued to pull the arrow. There were bloodstains on his hands with some unnatural smell. It cannot be that the attackers used poison. He lifted Adelia into his arms, supporting her wholly back with his uniform. The man gave the guards an order to take the arrow. He also ordered the stunned knights to be careful for a while. Go and wait for the cleaners. Carrying Adelia in his arms, Lucian thought about who could so brazenly arrange such a thing in the imperial palace. He will definitely catch you and take revenge twice, or better yet, 10 times stronger. The maids were also stunned and unable to do anything useful when they saw Adelia barely alive. Lucian told them not to make so much noise and instead call the imperial family and everyone come out. Then he turned to Adelia and said that there was still a little time before the family members arrived. Therefore, the girl immediately began healing. Gold ribbons wrapped around her entire body. A little later, the princess hurried to thank Lucian because she survived only thanks to him. This time it was really dangerous. A little more and she would have died. There will even be scars, but that doesn't matter. A few new scars won't make much of a difference. Lucian even closed his eyes in disappointment. Is she really crazy? Because she hides her white magic, she got to this point. The princess hastened to explain that this is not the case. But he didn't even want to listen. She really could have died there. After exhaling a little, Lucian still asked for forgiveness for yelling. The man explained that he did not intend to be angry at all, and he thanked the girl for saving Ariana. It's good that Adelia was there, and Lucian wanted to know if she was okay. Yes, Adelia is a white magician, strong but still an ordinary person. While Lucian was saying all this, the girl managed to notice how his hands were shaking. But Adelia did not boast of her merits. She simply replied that she did what anyone would do. The crown princess sincerely believed that adults should protect children. That's why they are adults and children. Children behave like children, and adults behave like adults. Adelia also noticed that she was a white magician, but not that strong. In fact, if she hadn't hidden her white magic, she wouldn't have been able to. But Lucian didn't let her finish. In a second, he blurted out, "No, not everyone. Not everyone can risk their life to protect others." Before everything happened, the crown prince watched Adelia and Ariana from the window in the palace. And 1 second the arrow broke the glass, and Adelia instantly, it seems, without even thinking, rushed to cover little Ariana with herself. He then broke into a cold sweat and a chill ran down his back. Not everyone can do something like Adelia. When Adelia fell asleep, Lucian did not hesitate to say out loud that they were all very lucky that she was such a sorceress. It was the first time a man felt so powerless, sitting on his knees in front of her bed. Adelia too often takes risks just because she is a white magician. A few seconds later, the man noticed that the princess, even in this state, was shrouded in white magic. He wondered if this was the unconscious inner instinct of the white sorceress, or is this her conscious will? He promised in a whisper that here, in this palace, no one would harm her again. But after a few moments, a noise was heard outside the door, and Lucian turned around. The little prince and princess were already rushing along the corridor along with their father. Lucian immediately put his finger to his lips, indicating to Ariana that there was no need to make any noise. But the little girl was too excited to notice this gesture. She cried and tried to clearly ask how her sister was doing. Lawrence started screaming after her. The baby also looked overly excited. Lucian hurried to ask them all to be quiet because Adelia had just fallen asleep. Lawrence lowered his head in embarrassment as he stood next to his silent father. But Ariana didn't let up. Her conscience gnawed at her because Adelia saved the baby. The crown prince tried to explain in a calm tone that it was not her fault. But the little princess could not calm down so easily because it was she who called Adelia outside. Nothing like this would have happened to the girl if Ariana had played herself. But the man still explained to her that this was Adelia's conscious choice. And what's more, no one knew that this could happen. Adelia values Ariana very much, so not wanting the baby to get hurt, she stood up for her. And besides, the crown princess definitely wouldn't want Ariana to feel such remorse. Therefore, blaming herself, the little princess denies Adelia's choice and nobility. And when the girl wakes up, Ariana just has to thank her. Then the baby's father intervened and confirmed the words of his eldest son. The girl only had to thank the princess and not blame herself. And he asked her to go wash and change clothes so Adelia would also be happy. The emperor had a lot to deal with. After all, if it weren't for his son's fiancée, his daughter would now be lying in a hospital bed. But Ariana was too fragile for that. If this had happened to the girl, she would probably be dead by now. The emperor was too angry. He was going to kill them all. Lucien tried to calm him down, but his senses were also on edge. Therefore, Ariana was handed over to little Lawrence, who had difficulty understanding the essence of the situation. And the boy obediently carried his sister to her bedroom. After the children left, the emperor and crown prince armed themselves with swords. In Adelia's room, right above her bed, stood a white-haired man. He touched the girl's forehead and chest. The faces of the two representatives of the imperial family were distorted with a grimace of anger and rage. The man calmly asked how ordinary people dared to stand in front of him so brazenly. Surely these were the descendants of Dekra. The emperor was the first to speak, asking who he was and how he got here. The unfamiliar man began to speak, but Lucien managed to interrupt him. The crown prince raised his sword and ordered Adelia to move away from the bed. The white-haired man's eyes glowed with a yellow flame, and he began to get angry. They were very similar to the descendants of his family. But even so, how dare they threaten him? Will they really not know who he is? An evil, wolf-like grin distorted his face. It seemed that something was beginning to dawn on the emperor. He thought that the man's energy was similar to the energy of white magic. Lucien didn't really believe it, but he still looked stunned. He had never heard of two white magicians before. Then sleeping there? Suddenly, Adelia raised her voice, calling the man by name. The white-haired man seemed to have forgotten about those two men, saying only a few words about how they were too noisy. And then he turned to Adelia, asking what had happened to her. But the girl did not recognize her Kai in him. She didn't understand why he came to her in this form. Therefore, the Keeper of the Light had to take on his true appearance. Now a huge wolf was bending over the girl's bed. Then Adelia finally admitted that she had to use a lot of power recently, but the guardian told her to stop talking so much. The wolf himself could penetrate her consciousness to understand what exactly happened. He clearly saw how Adelia covered baby Ariana with herself and received an arrow in the back. Indeed, where can she defend herself on her own? It would be nice if Adelia did not remain in history as a sorceress who died early. The guardian touched his muzzle to the girl's face to help her heal. Then the emperor dared to ask if the creature in their room was the Keeper of the Light. The wolf sarcastically replied that he even guessed early. Lucien again told him to move away from Adelia. But his father hastened to calm his son down, giving him a short, "Stop it." The emperor did not think that ever in his life he would be lucky, or unlucky, to see the Keeper of the Light. After some time, the emperor and the crown prince took seats opposite each other on the sofas, and the keeper rested on the mattress next to Adelia. Lucien heard that after signing the contract with Adelia, the keeper went on a long trip, so he was very busy. He confirmed that this was exactly the case. Contracts, travel, relationships, and everything like that. But if his mistress calls, he will instantly rush over at any time. Her white magic was weak right now, so she called out to him instinctively. He saw the hostess's recent memories. And I learned that the arrow enchanted with magic was aimed at the heart. But Adelia broke it before it went through. Anyone who is shot with such an arrow will die instantly. If it weren't for white magic, the guardian's owner would have been dead. And the heirs of Dekra's blood could not protect his man, and she ended up in this state. Lucien and the emperor agreed that they were forever indebted to her. Such a debt cannot be paid off in a lifetime. The emperor expressed the hope that this injury would not affect Adelia's future life in any way when little Ariana burst into the room. Lawrence ran behind her, trying to stop her sister, who managed to arm herself with a branch. The baby clearly couldn't keep up with his even smaller, but much faster and more agile sister. The wolf lying on the couch glanced at the children. The children, which is absolutely natural, were shocked. the guardian couldn't figure out what was wrong with this pink-haired girl. He felt that he was also from the Dekra family. This baby also has two names, just like his owner. The guardian believed that this incident was the first and the last. Besides, even though they are similar, they are completely different. Approaching the baby, the wolf said in a human voice that Ariana is an incredible person, like his owner. Ariana asked if he was the keeper of the light that her sister Adelia was talking about. But the wolf was distracted by the sweet smell of the girl, and within a second he licked her cheek. Lawrence and his father were clearly unhappy with this turn of events. The little prince pushed his sister aside and asked not to eat her. Then the emperor already raised his daughter in his arms. And he told Ariana that this is disgusting. You can't do that. The keeper was not particularly happy, of course. His saliva is a holy liquid that can heal any wound. What an impudent fellow! After which the keeper asked Adelia to get up quickly. Everyone is waiting for her to wake up. When Adelia woke up, she could not understand how much time had passed since she fell asleep. Ariana immediately rushed to hug the girl. It seems that the entire family was in her chambers in full force. The baby cried, again said that it was all her fault, and asked for forgiveness. Lawrence immediately rushed to Adelia. Even the emperor jerked in her direction, but in the end he restrained himself and only asked how she was feeling. The girl anxiously reported that she was fine. Lucian didn't believe her, so he asked again with a very upset expression on his face. He looked so sad, like he was about to cry. But she confirmed that thanks to His Highness she is fine. Then Lucian finally came to his senses. His face regained color in a few seconds, and the man no longer looked like he was in a dying state. The guardian intervened in the conversation to show that he was also here. Adelia did not understand at all how he ended up here, so she had to explain that she herself had called him. The little princess still continued to cry on Adelia's lap. But Ariana also recalled her older brother's words that it was Adelia's personal choice and that it was worth simply expressing gratitude. Therefore, while sobbing, Ariana also tried to squeeze out at least a simple thank you. Adelia tried to calm the baby down, saying that she was glad the girl was safe. Just as the crown princess was about to say that there was nothing to be afraid of and that everything was fine now, she was suddenly stung by a feeling of doubt. Is everything really okay? If it weren't for her, Ariana would probably be dead, or injured so seriously that her life would be in danger. Did something so dangerous happen then? No, if such a serious incident had occurred, it could not have failed to appear in the original work. Then really, is it all because of her? The only thing that has changed compared to the original novel is herself. Did her presence influence the original work enough to change it? Lucian snapped her out of her thoughts by asking if everything was okay. Does the girl have a fever, or is something hurting? Adelia reiterated that everything was fine. And then she asked if they had caught the criminal. The crown prince had to say that not yet. The criminal had disappeared without leaving a trace behind him. Adelia stroked baby Ariana's head and thought that this could not be changed. This is already the case, so we need to make sure there is a happy ending. She will definitely do whatever it takes. People in the Empire were whispering about Adelia with might and main. Everyone has heard that this Lady Vita will be coming out today. All the rumors turned out to be true. Usually no place is prepared for the one to whom one is engaged. But looking there, it looks like the crown prince will announce his wedding on this day. It must be true that they are so passionately in love with each other that they skipped the engagement ceremony and got married straight away. Some thought it was romantic. Some were discussing something else. People were saying that the princess was so weak that she couldn't even go outside. Lucian looks like a gentleman, but how far could he go before marriage? There were rumors that she was a sorceress. There were very few such daughters among the nobles. Some said that the purpose of this marriage was to mix the blood of a rare sorceress and the imperial family. Therefore, most of the gossip was that after the appearance of the heir, Adelia would be kicked out of the palace. Adelia's faithful servant dutifully collected all these rumors and gossip. Their leader has a lot of enemies. Well, no matter how hard they tried to get her down, they didn't even get close to her feet. After some time, the green-haired assistant reached Adelia. The girl was surprised that he actually prepared everything she asked for. Lucian, wearing an incredibly beautiful red robe, entered the room. The assistant seemed to have disappeared when the prince sat down on the couch next to Adelia and asked who the man was. His fiancée said that this was her assistant, and he was going to go to the banquet hall to assess the atmosphere. Adelia noticed that Lucian was using the artifact she had made for the man. Then Lucian reminded that this was an artifact made by the white sorceress herself. It is said that even His Majesty and Lawrence do not know how to separate it from the body. It took a long time to perform protective magic, cleansing magic, and restoration magic, but Adelia takes pride in her work. Then the girl explained that if you press the spindle, the magic of invisibility will be activated and no one will be able to detect Lucian. This should be useful for hiding his body or presence. When the light goes out, you will need to recharge the magical power again, so be sure to come to Adelia after use. Lucian, embarrassed by the close contact with the girl, awkwardly asked how often he should visit her. Adelia said that magical power will be practically used if you use protective magic twice in case of danger to life or special magic 3 times. Therefore, it all depends on the use. If you do nothing, the charge will last 3 months. Adelia noticed that Lucian was all red and asked if he was feeling bad. He answered negatively. Then Adelia asked if he knew about the rumors that were currently circulating in social circles. Lucian said that he knew that these were the rumors that she herself had spread. She used the maid who stole to spread the word that they were passionately in love. Adelia replied that this rumor should become true today. Lucian asked if love could really be faked. Adelia said that all he needs to do today is be near her. If the crown prince approaches her first, everyone will believe the rumors. And Lucian did not argue. He simply agreed and accepted all her conditions. Then Adelia said that she thought they should practice. Lucian asked to call him by name, stroking Adelia's cheek. Just at this moment, the Emperor and little Lawrence appeared. The man hastened to close his son's eyes and leave with the words, "It seems that we have disturbed you." And he noticed that if they needed more time, they could come later. Adelia yelled that they were the ones who came early, but these two didn't care anymore. On the way, Lawrence kept repeating that he was attending the banquet with their newly acquired sister for the first time. When the Emperor asked if everyone was ready, Lucian confidently answered in the affirmative. Adelia nodded in agreement and smiled. Then the servants were ordered to announce, and the words were heard throughout the hall. His Majesty the Emperor, His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, His Royal Highness, the Prince, and Lady Adelia Vita had arrived. The whole family entered the banquet hall. Whispers immediately ran through the crowd of people. Adelia entered with His Majesty. Now everyone believed that the new crown princess was really about to appear. No one knew why Adelia Vita had never appeared in social circles before. Adelia's assistant, also present at the banquet, thought that if you look at it like this, they really are a beautiful couple. The Emperor began his speech with a solemn introduction. Bless the bright sun. His Majesty said that the Festival of Abundance, as everyone knows, is a banquet in honor of the Harvest Festival. Representatives of leading companies from across the country were also present at the banquet. Adelia said quietly that they were much more persistent than she had expected. The girl was worried that they would make a hole in her with their glances. To which the Crown Prince jokingly replied that if even such looks could burn a girl, then she should definitely give up her position as a white sorceress. The number of places increased by 1 for the first time in 7 years, and everyone tried to keep him busy. Adelia can easily boast that she sits on it. And all this endless crowd of people can do is just watch. The Crown Prince asked Adelia to look at them and understand that they were about to go crazy, asking a lot of questions. The man asked if Adelia thought one of them would bite her. And then the girl replied that, on the contrary, she would bite. Lucian just smiled proudly at her. And even this gesture caused a flurry of discussions. The prince just smiled, and many could not believe it, thinking that it was their imagination. Then the Emperor hastened to somehow calm down all this murmur and announced that it was time to have fun, and the solemn speech was over. Adelia asked permission to go down to the people. Lawrence supported her and wished her luck. When the girl had already taken a step to the side, Lucian took her hand. Adelia was still not accustomed to their new status, so she addressed her future husband officially. Your Highness. Lucian kissed her hand and said his name, correcting the girl. She must call him by name now. The girl blushed but corrected herself, which caused a satisfied smile from the man. He asked her to have fun and come back, after which he finally let go of the girl's palm. When Adelia turned away, her cheeks flushed red. On the steps of the palace entrance, she was met by Lily. The girl was clearly glad to see Adelia after so long. She said that she worked a lot as they agreed. This was the absolute truth because rumors even reached the palace. Adelia praised Lily's work and the girl's eyes shone. Another girl came up to them and said hello. Adelia saw all these people for the first time. They all knew her by sight. It seemed like everyone was happy to meet the girl. Princess Odora also approached them. Despite her title, she was polite like all ordinary noble women. The princess said that she was honored that Adelia knew her name. After which, a girl unfamiliar to Adelia said that it was impossible not to know the only daughter of Duke Odor. The future crown princess expressed her respect and said that she was pleased to meet everyone. The stranger said that she had always thought that Lobelia was the only daughter of Count Vita. Others chimed in, Adelia was never seen at banquets. Is it because Lobelia is so outstanding? Well, Lobelia really was beautiful. She is second in fame after Princess Odora. But Adelia said that due to her poor health, she always remained with the estate. The words that if she had been healthy, she would have met Lucian much earlier, caused disapproval in the crowd of girls. Did she really dare to call His Majesty by name? After all, Lady Vita is also a noble woman. How can she be so ignorant? Adelia hastened to justify herself. She made a mistake because she was used to calling her future husband by name. And after that, the girl finally finished them off, saying that His Highness himself gave her permission. Like, Lucian said that it is better to call each other by name. He also calls the girl Adele. Princess Odora then continued her questioning, saying that she heard that the two of them met at the prom. It's usually difficult to get close so quickly, especially if they are talking about the crown prince. There were various rumors about His Majesty. It was as if he had never been interested in women and almost did not communicate with other nobles. Adelia confirmed that this was true, but human relationships are not proportional to time. Princess Odora clutched the hem of her dress in indignation after Adelia's next words, especially when it comes to relationships between a man and a woman. Odora could not understand how Lucian could be in love with such a woman. 13 years ago, when Princess Odora was 8 years old, well, unlike other girls, who appeared from nowhere, she has been living in the palace since her youth. Even His Majesty was under his thumb because of the incredibly beautiful Empress. In this family, she was one of our own from birth. She is Odora Force. She was destined to become crown princess, and not this insignificant count's daughter. The princess thought that this was only temporary entertainment. After all, she and His Majesty spend so much time together. Therefore, the princess, hiding her indignation, politely said that in a relationship, time spent together is important. They can only form and develop if they are based on trust built over a long period, especially if it is a relationship between a man and a woman. Adelia replied that the princess's words were true, but only if it concerned friendships or subordinates. But wouldn't you be closer to your fiancé, with whom you plan to share your future, than just someone you've known for a long time? The princess asked if she meant her when she spoke only of old acquaintances. Adelia admitted that she had heard about Odora from His Majesty, but had never seen her in person. However, the princess can't just be something familiar. Odora asked if only a month had passed since Lady Vita came to the imperial palace. Adelia confirmed that a little more than a month has passed. Therefore, Odora promised to give her a tour, because she is very familiar with everything. The girl had been going to the imperial palace since childhood. Adelia thought that it seemed like Odora had just recently finished her coming-of-age ceremony. Maybe that's why she can't manage her facial expressions and control her emotions. In any case, the original story tells a little more about her than Adelia. Therefore, Adelia politely refused, arguing that she had already received all the necessary information about the palace from His Majesty earlier. The girl thought it was all very boring. She thought that this show would be much more interesting. Princess Odora said that she only showed attention to Lady Adelia, who came from a rural estate, because she was not yet accustomed to the imperial palace. And the crown prince is a busy man, so why waste his time? But Adelia hastened to assure her that she was not taking up her fiancé's time at all. The words that Lady Vita was busy with her palace work and spending time with the princess plunged that same princess into horror. Palace work? How is it that Adelia is already involved in the internal affairs of the palace? She didn't even get rid of the count's surname. That's too much. Everyone heard the angry tone with which these words were spoken. However, Adelia pretended that it was like ordinary anxiety and said that the princess was truly a good-natured person. Adelia said there was nothing to worry about because the crown prince had given permission. The evil Odora hissed that there was no place for Adelia here. and after that Adelia asked her to excuse her and left. The emperor said that he had previously believed that Adelia would stay away from social circles, but that was pretty cool. Who would have thought that the strongest of Lucian's followers could be trampled in one fell swoop? Lucian didn't even remember who it was, but there was no need to worry. For Adelia, it was much more tiring than she had imagined, so the girl lost all passion. In one of the corridors of the palace, her brother and sister stumbled upon her. The girl only asked them not to pretend that they knew her and just go on their way. She really doesn't think they've ever been close enough to get together and say hello like that. Her brother asked if Adelia considered herself powerful even before becoming crown princess. Adelia briefly replied that even if she was not yet the crown princess, she was already engaged with the permission of the emperor. Lobelia said that she is the same daughter of the count as Lobelia herself, even in the status of a bride or not. Then Adelia began to get angry. She explained everything the same way last time, but it seems that her sister still didn't understand her. Lobelia said that she would be kicked out of the palace soon anyway. Lady Vita continued, "If Adelia covers herself with cosmetics and expensive clothes, her flaws will still not disappear. The crown princess should not have such flaws. It is impossible to seduce His Highness with such a body." Lobelia didn't know what Adelia had done, but for her it was the same in any case. The brother advised to leave the palace on his own and again go to the territory of Vitus. Adelia laughed briefly about how people don't change at all, and she told her brother to go and do it on her own. Go there and express your indignation. Lobelia tried to remind her that her complaint would not be idle talk. The crown prince's bride is actually a defective product. Is Adelia really crazy and not afraid that His Highness will find out about this? But in reality, Lobelia could never tell anyone about this secret. After all the scars on Adelia's body were left by her stepmother and brother and sister. If this is discovered, the family will be engulfed in scandal. Count Vita, who believes that the face of the family and honor are above all, he will absolutely shut up Lobelia. He had previously told his daughter that he did not know how Adelia appeased the crown prince. But first, he should put his eldest daughter in the place of the crown princess, and then he was going to persuade her to do what he needed. That's why he ordered Lobelia not to dare talk about her elder sister's defects. Lobelia tried to object, even throw a tantrum, because every time she opens her mouth, Adelia... But she interrupted her younger sister, not wanting to listen. She knew for sure that Lobelia did not want to reveal her shameful secrets. Just like he doesn't want to see her as crown princess. Therefore, he threatens her by coming like a rat and ordering her to leave the palace. Still, Adelia realized that she should have said this earlier. In the end, the girl finally admitted that His Highness already knew about her scars. Not only Lucian, but the Emperor too. Therefore, the only thing Lobelia should do now is to start begging for her life, so that her arms become legs, just like Adelia did when she was just a baby. After all, if problems arise in the family because of her, the father will be very angry. Suddenly, her brother did another stupid thing, noticing that the girl had become much more interesting and now seemed like a different person. Adelia asked what he was going to threaten her with. He, as if not hearing the question, noticed that the imperial palace, as he thought, was not bad. Stroking Adelia's collarbones, he said that the girl's face had completely blossomed. Adelia pushed his palm away and ordered him not to dare touch it with his dirty hands. Has he still not gotten rid of this habit? Her brother pretended to come here in person because he was endlessly worried about his sister, who had not sent a single letter. Adelia again repeated that the guy should not touch her and told him to leave if he had nothing to say. Then Marco said that he had come to praise his sister. He's so happy that his useless little sister has finally become useful. And then Adelia said that, in fact, she was the only useful person in this house. Being the head of the family, her father has fun instead of working. A mother who indulges in extravagance to drain the family finances. A sister who only knows how to talk, and a brother who cannot take care of his lower body and gives in to debauchery. These two, of course, were indignant. But what can you do if there really are no more useful people in the house? In a way, she even feels sorry for her own father, having failed so much with children. Marco scratched the back of his head, reiterating that Adelia had indeed changed a lot. It's a shame. If you were as obedient as before, we would have fun together.